Hello, welcome. We
Hello.
are live on the Captain Shaw Appreciation Show. Sorry. It might be. We're StarTrekkin. I am Nicole. I am on one side of Toronto. Over on the other, we have Green. How you doing there tonight?
I have mini samosas. I'm doing very well.
Oh, samosas are always good. Are they spicy?
A little bit.
A little bit. That's nice. That's nice. I like a samosa. I like a pakora too. Anything fried. Fried food I'm good with,
So, snow is
generally.
falling. It's good. Good mood.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice out. Anyway, so we're up against quite a TV schedule tonight. We were just talking about before we came on screen on stream. Sorry, I'm going to cough one moment. That the Oscars and The Last of Us finale is on. Neither of us have watched the Oscars in quite some time. I had like Oscar parties. I used to be really into it, and then I still love movies. I can't do the Oscars anymore, man.
I
It's
used
just
to.
like
I used to watch it, but I was never super into it.
I was super into it, but now it just seems like really, you know, like just kind of the same thing all the time. It's not going to be different. Like the best. It's not the best movies. It's just kind of like
2018,
the same
I
thing.
went to a big Oscar party at Glad Day, but that was like they had like drag queen commentary stuff like that. That was fun, but I was there for
That's
the
fun.
drag. I wasn't really there for the Oscars.
I'd rather do a Eurovision. I love a Eurovision. That's more fun. Eurovision is what I would like the Oscars to be. If the Oscars could be Eurovision, then I think we'd all be happier. Everyone should experience Eurovision at least once in their life. Have you done
Uh,
Eurovision yet?
I mean, have I watched Eurovision? I've been watching
Yeah.
Eurovision for years.
Hmm?
I love Eurovision.
Eurovision's the best, of course.
Although, not to get all lefty on everyone, but
Hmm.
there is like a certain amount of colonial apologia in Eurovision,
Oh well,
and like homophobia apologia.
there is often.
Eurovision is gay as fuck, but some of
Oh,
those countries
yeah, it
are
really is.
deeply homophobic.
It's the gayest event in Europe, I think,
Right?
aside from maybe gayer than Pride, to be honest.
Who the fuck did a video essay on this recently? God, I watched a video essay on this specific topic recently.
Mm.
Can't remember who made it,
You know,
but
it's like Eurovision and figure skating have a very weird relationship with gay queerness. You know what I mean?
well, it's like Israel is in
Oh,
Eurovision. Israel doesn't even
I
have
didn't.
gay marriage, right?
Yeah, I
Like,
didn't watch. I didn't watch Eurovision when Israel won. I didn't watch it the year it was in Tel Aviv. A lot of people boycott it. Like
yes,
almost all of my Finnish friends, which is
I
unsurprising.
I never watch Eurovision live. I always watch it, but I always watch it like usually days after it's initially aired.
Oh, I put up the stream. I'm like, I was like, actually, I tried to convince CBC for a long time to broadcast Eurovision and to enter Eurovision.
It is weird that they don't.
So then Dion was like a
Well,
competitor.
we're not part of Europe, and while they do occasionally
Neither
allow,
is Australia.
that's what I was going to say. And while they do let Australia compete, like, I'm not sure they would let Canada compete.
They should let Canada compete.
But like,
We're
I don't know.
practically.
Like, I have a complicated relationship with Europe, and therefore, by extension, I have a complicated relationship with Eurovision. But I do always find it entertaining.
Eurovision is also fixed like figure skating. I think there's a really interesting paper in that probably about queerness, Eurovision, figure
Well,
skating, and cheating.
well, I mean, like I said, someone
Like
did.
judging scandals. Maybe not
Who
just cheating, judging scandals.
now I'm looking for this video essay I watched on Eurovision and colonialism.
because there's a lot of racism in figure skating too, like 100%. I mean, Surya Bonnelly. Let's talk about that.
Nope, not seeing it.
This is a Star Trek
Not
stream,
seeing.
actually.
Oh, here it is. It was John Duncan. John the Duncan's the one who did it. Which
Oh, okay, cool.
John Duncan is British. Whoops! I did not mean to open the window.
Well, if anyone should be an expert on colonialism, it should be British.
He's a British Marxist. Like, he's a British Marxist.
Well, no, I'm just saying they have a lot of experience.
They do
in colonizing. So
they certainly do. He's a white guy as well. But I don't know. He did a video on decolonialism as well. That I thought for like a video on the topic by a white British guy was actually pretty good.
I mean, it doesn't disqualify you as long as you know your biases. I feel like you know, and like you look at scholars and people and sources. You know, like you listen to people who are from a different perspective. Like you implement as many perspectives into your viewpoint as possible. I think it can help. So it doesn't like replace other people's viewpoints.
For whatever reason, I can't post in the chat. I don't know why. I posted in the private chat, but I can't post in the main chat. But
weird.
That is strange. If you just Google John Duncan, it's literally his first video. His most recent video.
Let me see if I can do this. Oh, what did I do? There we go. I posted many times. My apologies, everyone. Anyway, so that's from Green. In any case, let's get to we've got some Star Trek news. So let's get to that. Even though definitely interesting to talk about Eurovision. Always happy to talk about colonialism. That is my jam. And figure skating another time. So we had some bad news over the last week that Discovery Season 5 will be Discovery's final season. And because they're doing some reshoots, it won't be coming till 2024. Jonathan Frakes put it best when he said, "It sucks."
Yeah.
It sucks.
I really thought it was going to make it to 5 seasons. Or sorry, to 7 seasons. I really thought they were going to do... 7 seasons seems to be the metric by which we judge the success of a Star Trek series. Just because that was how long TNG, DS9, and Voyager all lasted. It outlasted Enterprise and NTOS. NTAS though.
Yep, and I mean, it's going to get an ending, and I think that's the big thing, really.
Well, I wonder if this is what the reshoots are about. If they found out that they were canceling it, and this is the reshoot is them reshooting the ending.
As far as I know, it's to kind of wrap things up. Was my understanding that the reshoots are just kind of to make sure that the ending is sufficient.
But with both Picard and Discovery wrapping, that would make room for the 2 rumored spin-offs.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And we'll see if there's another one, because people are really starting to demand some sort of Titan spin-off. Whether with Shaw and Seven or Seven and someone else. But,
I want Seven to I mean, we all know Voyager is the one show I've never finished. I don't like Voyager. I've never gotten to the point where Seven is introduced.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Seven in Picard. She's my favorite thing.
I feel like, and we'll get to the discussion, but I feel like Shaw and Seven are starting to develop. I said to Gary when I was rewatching it, I'm like, I feel like they're going to become BFFs.
I think they will too.
I hate you, but I like you, but I hate you.
We'll talk later about how this show has how this season has actual character arcs instead of just random shit flying at the wall. Because
Mm-hmm.
they had a 4-episode character arc.
And it's still developing. Like they're still developing, which is amazing. I feel like they're really gonna be, have an Odo, and I don't know.
Here's the thing. So
I don't know, an enemies to friends relationship or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
I think that, so if the rest of Picard is shit, so if Picard takes and there's still 6 episodes left, so there's still room for it to shit the bed. But even if the rest of Picard is like the rest of the previous seasons of Picard, I feel like these 4 episodes have given me the TNG movie we never got. Like, we got TNG movies, but they were bad. This feels like TNG's Wrath of Khan. I draw that parallel intentionally because, oh boy, does it feel a lot like Wrath of Khan.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. For sure it does. It does, for sure. I'm responding to things with all kinds of different,
Yeah, so every time you respond, you're getting 3 posts.
Oh my goodness. This is ridiculous.
Oh,
there we go. Oh, it said all. Okay, now I've got it. Yeah. Now I've got it straightened out. I was responding all instead of just to one place. Now I've got it sorted. In any case, hello, Genesis of Legend, welcome. And yeah, we did call, we called a few things. Let's just I'll get through a couple more stories. But yeah, for sure, we'll get to it. Just wanted to say that Chris Pine talked about having no idea what's up with the next Kelvin Universe movie.
Yeah,
said that in Star Trek, actors are the last people to know, basically.
Yeah. It looked like Star Trek 4 was back on track. That they'd fixed their finances issues. Because before it was a financing issue. Basically, the studio wanted them to cut funding, and they were like, "Well, listen, we got Chris Pine, we got Chris Hemsworth. These are high bill actors. We need to pay them." And so it looked like that got resolved, and the movie's back on track. And now it's back off track, but we don't know why. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm. But it's kind of funny that he actually said that. Like, maybe he's just like, I just want to know if I have a job, if I should just, forget about it. Like, just tell me what's going on.
He's also lost Wonder Woman, which was his other big franchise.
Well, now he's got D&D apparently. So I've heard it doesn't suck, right?
D&D so far, at least last I checked, at 100% of Rotten Tomatoes.
I saw 98 last I checked, which is still better than a lot of freaking movies. So,
I enjoy the clips I've seen of it. I enjoyed. I'm still not sure I'm going to bother seeing it because I just don't watch a lot of movies.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And D&D is not my role-playing game. D&D is a lot of people's role-playing game. It's it hits above the weight class of the rest of the industry combined.
Yeah,
but I've never been.
I get you there. Well, they have a stacked cast of people who are excellent actors. So, and the people who wrote Game Night, actually, which was a pretty funny freaking movie. So I think it would be kind of hard to screw it up just on a base sort of talent level that they have in the film. And so the last one, which I saved to tell Green live on the stream, is that in Picard, the last season, they had suggested to Robert Beltran that he be Seven's alternate universe husband, and that they rekindle the Seven Chakotay romance, and Chakotay be her, the guy that was the magistrate. But I guess Beltran did not like that. He didn't like the writing or something, but I'm guessing he didn't like that he was a villain and he said something about being really happy with being on Prodigy, and so they got John Briones, who is Issa Briones' father, to be the
That
magistrate instead.
that would have made more sense than what we got. That said, that whole season was just a mess.
It started well.
But they always start well.
I know, they always start well. They always start well.
They go nowhere.
I can't say it would have gone any better with Beltran being there, and that probably would have made you. But he would have died. He would have died, dude. So
good.
That would have been nice. You would have been happy about that. You would have been like, "Yay, they killed Chakotay."
That's probably the real reason why they want to do it. He probably didn't want Chakotay to die.
Well, I think he was probably Chakotay's evil, and then he's going to get shot. So screw this.
My prediction, here's where they're going to go with Picard season 2. I don't normally do this because I'm not like one of those fixing. Like I think that's pretentious. So this is my prediction for the plot of Picard season 2 was better than what we got.
Yes, it was. I think any of our predictions were better than what we got for season 2.
Having that character stay alive and be the main villain, and have it be a tension with like Picard trying to stop the fascist Earth, and he's trying to. So like each of them is trying to save their own future, and have it be a fight. Like that would have been, because that would have at least made sense.
Anyway, let's talk about season of Picard that seems to be going well.
A good season.
A good season of Picard, season 3, which seems to be still going well. It has started well. It seems to be continuing to go well. So I these two.
One major complaint about episode 3, and we'll get into it later. But other than that one complaint, thoroughly enjoying the show.
Awesome. I am as well. I can't think of any. We'll see if they come up. So, episode 3, both of the episodes are actually directed by Jonathan Frakes.
Oh, it shows.
Yeah, who is, premier Star Trek director. Let's just say that up front. Yes. Can we talk about interesting let's just say that, can we talk about interesting choices for I actually have a note about that. Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit later. For sure. Yeah, it's bacony and gross. And I think I really like it. So the first episode is 17 seconds. This is probably a terrible synopsis, but I'll just go over it real quick so we have understanding where we are. So Shrike attacks the Titan, injuring Shaw, who transfers command to Riker. Beverly explains that she didn't tell Picard about Jack to keep their son safe from assassination attempts. The Titan attempts to escape the nebula, but is cornered by the Shrike using Porter technology. Picard advises Riker to lure the Shrike into a trap, but Riker wants to flee and prioritize saving the crew. Jack and Seven deduce that Vadic is tracking a gas leak on the Titan and find an ensign sabotaging the ship. He's revealed to be a changeling, a part of a group that has been revealed to be a changeling and escapes custody. Raffi and Worf capture a criminal that they believe is responsible for the attack on Metellus Prime. They discover that he's also a changeling, part of a group that has been fighting the Federation since the end of the Dominion War, and realize that the attack was just a distraction. Convinced by Picard's insistence that they fight back, Riker files on the Shrike. Their weapons are redirected back at them with a portal, and the Titan sustains heavy damage. Riker blames Picard and orders them off the bridge as they drift towards a gravitational anomaly in the nebula. So, plots over these couple episodes that kind of like go out are on the Titan. We've got the Shrike is attacking the Titan. Why do they want Jack? Who are they? They are changelings, but which ones? This is vindication because I was right about the changeling.
Yeah, I did not see that coming. I definitely did not think, ooh, that light color does not do good things for my camera.
Very pink, though. Very pink.
Yeah, it's just my camera can't image it. So it does weird things to my face on the camera. Let's go with that one. Yeah, it gives off more natural light.
Yeah, and the changeling. Sorry, what were you going to say? Green?
I just did not see that coming. Like I know you called it, but I did not see that coming. Although like I wasn't hugely shocked, partially because you called it, and also partially because we knew already that they were using DS9 plot elements. They'd said as much.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Also, what's let's just talk about the changeling effects now. Like I made a note that it was like super interesting and gross, kind of like how they've changed it up. And I'm guessing like it's partially just because they have upgraded FX, right? Like
it's a budget thing, yeah.
Yeah, like Genesis of Legend is saying. So I was thinking, yeah, like it looked kind of bacony, but also like it looks like it's actual, you know, like muscle and fat and body and sinew. So it's an actual, they're actual.
It looks
food.
organic. Well, I mean, I
Yeah.
guess like whereas before they looked like a chemical spill or something.
Excuse me.
It looks like oil almost. This looks like organic.
Now I wonder if that's just a different kind of changeling.
I would imagine it's just a. I imagine it's just a artistic direction change combined with like budget.
Yeah,
and
I
budget
would
and
guess
also
so.
like just more updated tech.
Because like what I'm also thinking is that the, you know, at the end of episode 4, which we'll talk about, those aliens, they reference Farpoint. I think those aliens are the Farpoint aliens because they look almost exactly the same.
Farpoint aliens didn't have faces. These ones had faces.
Yeah, but they couldn't animate faces.
Fair enough. Yeah. I
right. So now they can animate faces. They had the same flat kind of heads. They had the same like things. So I wonder, or at least like related to them, maybe.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I can't say yay or nay to that, but I get what you're saying. They're certainly thematically related to the Farpoint.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting how they decided to change like the changeling stuff so it looked more like, I don't know, like maybe they're not founders, but I kind of doubt it. I think they've decided.
No, I think they're still founders. I think they're the same. I think they're the same changes. I think this is just an artistic direction choice, combined with them having better technology.
As for the space, same cephalopod family, different genus. It's entirely possible. Yeah. You know, maybe one is just more like a jellyfish, and this one is more like a octopus. Or, I don't know.
Like a squid versus octopus.
Squid versus octopus. So another plot is who is contacting Jack. At the end of the episode 4, when we talked, Gary said at the end of episode 4, the first time we watched it, Gary said the Red Woman. And I was like, damn, maybe.
I thought that those were. We'll see what's right, because I had a different reading of that. I thought those were PTSD flashbacks.
I think he's hallucinating. Like someone keeps saying, "Come find me." I don't know if those are. They seem to be new things for Jack.
Yeah, we'll see. But my initial take was PTSD flashbacks. We'll see if I'm right or wrong. Like I said, we got 6 episodes to figure out.
My take was someone was trying to contact him.
The question is why.
Yeah,
I see that. Why. Like I see that because there is a like "come find me," which does seem to contact, but is like that sort of far distance telepathy a thing in Star Trek? Although I mean, even if it historically hasn't been, doesn't mean they can't make it. Star Trek retcons itself all the time.
Vulcans.
Can has any Vulcan ever? I mean, I guess Enterprise does have the Tellarites, the white Tellarites, who the whole thing is that they can do that because that's how they control the telepathic drones.
This is what it does look like. The Visions aspect of things has echoes of the Red Angel. The Red Woman and the Red Angel. Like,
I
I don't think it has any connection to
yeah,
disco, but it does have a similar sort of feel to it.
I think they're just drawing on similar, because that had occurred to me. I think they're drawing on similar imagery, but I don't think they're related. One second,
No, I
my
don't
dice
think
rolled
they're
really weird.
related. I think they have a similar thing, but like, I don't know. The thing is, what I keep coming back to with Rachel Garrett is she's dead. Like, unless it's like prime Rachel Garrett, but like, I that's a different, like, it's not even the same time. I don't know how this works. I don't know. I hate time travel. I hate temporal rifts. I don't understand them. I don't understand how it works. Like, how would Rachel Garrett show up now? The captain of the Enterprise. Is she even, maybe she didn't even exist in this timeline. I don't know.
I don't. No, I don't. I don't think we're going to see her unless there's been some sort of confirmation. I don't think so. We know that Denise Crosby is coming back. But we don't know
Yeah.
if she's going to be playing Tasha Yar. I don't think she
So
is.
so it's got to be Sayla. That's what it is.
That's
It's
my
got to,
guess.
like, that's the simplest like explanation, is it's got to be Sayla.
That's what I'm thinking. Like that's what I've been thinking this whole time. I don't think it's going to be Tasha.
No, it's Sayla. Like, that's the simplest explanation. I just don't know.
Yeah.
Like, how she would be reaching out, or if she's reaching out to Jack at all. But does that sound like Denise Crosby? Maybe. It could. I'd have to listen to it again. That's entirely possible, because now that I think about it, that voice maybe does sound like her.
I couldn't even say.
It's really distorted, so it's hard to say. It could freaking sound like anybody. Who it sounded like a dude at some point, so who knows?
Yeah,
Probably was a dude. So it's
yeah,
probably a changeling.
Probably. Like, I don't know what threads they're pulling on. I can't. I don't know where the series goes from here. Like,
Yeah, the changeling thing is throwing me, because I don't really understand like what connection that has to Picard.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to have any connection to Picard. Picard's just a high-ranking Starfleet guy, and the changelings are attacking Starfleet. I don't think that there needs to be a connection beyond that.
Well, Jack Crusher is the connection, so I don't know. I mean, maybe it is Jack. Maybe it has nothing to do with Picard at all. Who knows? Maybe it's Beverly.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's still very possible. There's 6 episodes left, so it's still very possible the show can become undone. With the same too many plots being thrown at the audience at once with no connective tissue. Like, there's still. That's what I was saying earlier. Like, these 4 episodes, I feel I've gotten a very satisfying Star Trek movie out of them.
Well, fortunately, a lot of these that we'll go through have been wrapped up. There's only a few that are open, and 2 of them were open. Are why is the Shrike attacking Titan, and who is contacting Jack? But a few more we'll go through are mostly wrapped up.
We got a satisfying 4-episode story arc. Like, there are complete character arcs within these 4 episodes,
and there are complete plot arcs as well. Like, quite a few that are totally wrapped up.
Like, there may be room for Seven and her captain to grow and like each other more, but already we've gone through, you were Borg, I don't trust Borg, to like, you have earned my respect, I will stop dead naming you.
Yeah. And so like Changeling Saboteur gets wrapped up within 2 episodes. Nature of the Nebula wrapped up. Shaw versus our heroes.
I am happy that they were Ezra. I was worried the Nebula was going to be something real stupid. I was prepared for the Nebula to be something like real dumb.
I figured it was something like that. Then on the Titan, Shaw versus the heroes, in quotes, that seems to be coming to an end. And then I said on the Titan, everyone's personal drama / trauma. That's not wrapped up, but when will it be? This is an interesting question about the changelings. Are they trying a reverse auto bioweapon play?
Yeah, I can't say.
It's a good question. I really don't. I'm not sure what they're doing. It has something to do, like, the question is what like tried to look up today, what is at the Daystrom Institute, like, that could be stolen, and I don't even know. Like, I'm like, is it, like, I assume it's not lore. Is lore locked up there? I don't know. No, last
Well,
time I
B4 is
checked.
there.
What?
B4 is there in Daystrom, as revealed
Which
in Star
is?
Trek Picard episode season 1. B4 is the other data.
Oh, so maybe that's what they're taking.
Well, and I mean, if Laura's going to be involved, it very well could be they might go for Picard. Picard's also now an android. I don't know for sure that's how they're going to go, but it's a connection.
That's possible. I was trying to think, because the portal weapon was not the thing, was the distraction from what they were actually stealing. And just with Worf and Raffi, which is good because, I mean, at least that plot moved along quickly. Finding the terrorists, point between the attack, and covering the changeling pot, what was taken behind from Daystrom, and who is Worf subcontracting for?
Lore.
This is the big thing.
It's lore. Worf is
You don't
secretly
think?
looking for lore. I don't think he
You
knows
don't think
it.
Section 31? I guess that's Starfleet, right? So
I think no. I think it's lore, and I think it's lore is working with Star. I think lore is working for Section 31.
Genesis of Legend says Julian. That's what I'm hoping. We need some Julian Bashir. I'm very hopeful for Julian Bashir. So 17 seconds. It was I think I liked the fourth episode better than this one. I would also.
Well, we didn't even talk about what I didn't like.
I would also.
I have beef with episode. Actually, there are things about episode 3 I didn't like. We didn't talk.
As for Worf's maybe handler, who he's subcontracting for, Genesis of Legend says, I would also accept a simple tailor, as would we all, I think. Eric is always welcome.
If we can talk about episode 3, because I have beef with episode 3.
Of course, yeah.
There are things I don't like about it that we have not talked at all.
Yeah, we can get to that, of course. Yeah.
We haven't spoken at all about Picard and Riker and their plot over this episode.
Yeah, which is basically falls under everyone's personal drama/trauma, essentially.
Well, this is what I don't like about it. This is why I have beef with this episode, and it's not enjoyment ruining. I still enjoyed the episode, but I really did not like that Picard was the one pushing for violence. It seems extremely out of character, both for old Picard and for like current Picard. So Picard being the one like, no, we gotta fight, we gotta like bomb them. It's just like, that's a weirdly reactionary position for Picard to take, especially when Riker, of the two of them, has always been the risk taker. So we have a bit of a switch between the two, where Riker is now the conservative one,
mm-hmm.
and Picard's the one pushing for aggression, and that role reversal does not make sense to me.
Yeah, I found it like, it was frustrating in a similar way to me, mostly because what I found frustrating was just that it seemed like there was no solution, but I guess that's sort of the point. But yeah, it did seem, maybe that's the point, that it's sort of out of character for them to be.
I guess it's never really addressed.
I mean, it is sort of addressed when, at the end, when Picard talks about the reasons that he thinks Riker is not, going ahead and attacking, going ahead and like choosing to go into battle,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like he thinks he's hesitating because he's lost someone, and that turns out to be partially true. And I think Picard is potentially like he hasn't been out in a long time and maybe trying to reestablish himself as a commander. So I think they have different reasons that they are out there and different reasons that they need to do this.
I don't know. I didn't think it was well handled. It's like I said, it's my only major complaint about the episode. But I didn't like it. It didn't ring true to me. Yeah, I just didn't like it.
I
Like
I just
it felt like forced conflict.
I feel like there was some conflict, but that felt a little forced. But at the same time, I feel like
And then
we say we
remove
at the
yourself from the bridge. You just killed everyone here. It's just like, dude, like, calm down. Like you followed. You did the thing at his like. I just it felt really melodramatic. It felt really forced. I did not care for it. Overall, I still like the episode, but I did not like that part.
That's not something necessarily that you love to see somebody saying in front of the bridge crew either, because it's like awkward, and then, oh really, are we all dead? That's not great.
Yeah, like
but I also oh god, I had a point and I lost it. I think that we keep saying, well, this is out of character, but all of these people are like much older and they've gone through a lot more stuff since we saw them last, right?
That's like so, but older Picard.
Yeah, I mean, it stands true for Picard. Like it makes sense for Picard, because he's even been in situations like this since. So it like the criticism for Picard makes sense. It's just Riker, like it's possible that Riker could be in a situation where he would be more hesitant.
Riker being Riker, excuse me. Riker being the voice of like Riker being like level-headed in the situation is fine by me. It's only a problem in relation to Picard being so aggressive. Because Riker has always been the one that was more cocksure of the two. Mm-hmm. And like we've seen nothing in their relationship in Picard to suggest that has changed in any way. In fact, there were when they like them even hijacking the Titan is Riker's idea, and Picard's just like, this is crazy, man. He's like, I know, right?
Yeah, this is a good point. Genesis of Legend makes. I suspect they're trying to call back to first contract trauma. We must fight the Borg in the young jail. We must take risks, but did it wrong, or just more ham-fistedly maybe than they intended. It did ring wrong. Sorry, it did ring wrong because maybe it was ham-fisted. Yeah. But yeah, I get that point too, because maybe it was more like, like the line must be drawn here, and I think that's something we referenced when we were watching it.
Also, if they pie in the sky theory for what they stole from Daystrom, Agnes.
That would be funny, but I doubt it. But it would be funny. Also, I mean, some of the it could be tapping into the first contact trauma a little bit, because it's like another enemy that seems, unsurmountable, and maybe he gets like weird about that, especially with now he has a kid. And yeah, like to point it out, the 17 seconds refers to the 17.
I'm not even opposed to them making Picard the more like if they had more establishment as to why he was behaving this way. And like I get it's emotionally he just found he has a kid, there's like his emotions are like, but at no point anywhere else in the story is he more aggressive because he found out he had a kid.
Like, that's right. I mean, actually I think he is a little bit. Well, no, I mean he pushes more after Jack almost dies.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was going to say, the 17 seconds that it has in the title just refers to how long it took Riker in the turbo lift to go down to see his son when he thought he was like maybe dying during the birth when Deanna was giving birth.
Yeah, I mean, and
Yeah.
let's just say this episode 4, I have no complaints on. Like, I thought episode 4 was like some perfect Trek.
That's episode 3, same episode.
Oh yeah, sorry. You're right. Episode 4 was no solution, or like an unwinnable situation, or something along those lines.
No win scenario. Yeah. So that's just so I mean, when Jack almost dies, that's when he comes back up and to the bridge and kind of starts to push Riker more to find a way to make the rear attack.
Yeah.
And
so don't go well.
No. I thought, the scene, fairly early on, we have the scene with Picard and Beverly after we meet Dr. Oak, the requisite cranky Starfleet doctor who is mad at everyone in her sickbay, who is a Trill. So that was kind of fun, and just thinks that she knows more than Beverly and everyone else. But I thought the Picard and Beverly scene was really beautiful. And that there was really no one who was wrong there. Like,
yeah. I just want to say unrelatedly, one thing I really like about New Trek, all New Trek, we get a lot more aliens on the ships.
Mm-hmm. Just like, randomly in the background. Yeah. They bothered to do that. What did you think of that scene?
I liked it. I liked that. I mean, of course, she wasn't going to trust like this random woman. We know that Crusher's like the best doctor in Starfleet, but she doesn't know her from a hole in the wall.
No, I meant Picard and Beverly.
Sorry, I misunderstood what Steve. So their conversation about like
the Picard and Beverly scene where I was like, I just feel like everyone had a fair point in that situation. Like there was really no wrong side here.
I like that a lot. I like the fact that like he answers with a completely reasonable position, and then she also answers with a completely reasonable position. I like that exchange immensely.
Yeah, it was fair for him to be angry, I felt like, but it was also fair for her to say, like, everyone wants to kill you and you always run off to save the universe, so he was always going to be in danger, and I lost, like, my husband, and Wesley is off running around the universe being, an omnipotent being.
And I think the real payoff to that scene is actually in the next episode.
Yes.
That sounds like a weird framing device that, like, you're sort of like, because we'll talk about more when we get to that episode, but like that episode is this weird framing device where it starts with flashback of like Picard talking to some kids, some cadets, and it's just like, why are you showing me this? I don't understand. And then the very last end of the episode, like, oh, I now get how this connects in.
I saw where it was going when he mentioned Jack Crusher. And then I was like, oh shit, this is when he went to see him.
Yeah.
And it didn't. Right. So but at first you're just like, why is he telling, random stories?
Why are you showing me this? How does this relate to the events? And it takes a long time to make that reveal, but when it does, it's really well done.
Also, I'll talk more later, but all of the stories relate to something in the episode as well. So like also something from that scene with Beverly and Picard, and I'll put this up, blaming Picard for Wesley making his own choices to leave the nest and be independent, low blow and unfair. I don't think she was blaming him. I think it was just, here is another thing that has happened. Like, I don't think she blamed him for Jack. I think she was just like, I have lost this many people. I just didn't want to lose Jack number 2 as well. But I also am going to say I watched that again, and I was more convinced that there is no way Wesley Crusher is not showing up in this season.
Yeah, how they bring him in to the end of season 2 is so weird and awkward that I can't, even if these seasons are largely unconnected from each other, I can't imagine they don't pay that off somehow, somewhere.
Yeah. Also, everybody's like, he says he's not coming on, but he is a lying liar that lies. He is known to be a lying liar that lies. He said that before, and he was in season 2. He's like, no, I'm not in season 2. It's really hard, guys, you know, blah, 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 blah. And he was in the season. And he's saying the same damn thing again, and he wrote a super emotional post about it. And I'm like, there's no way he's not in this fucking season. Especially Jonathan Frakes, like, being like, come up here and giving him a hug and blah, blah. He's in the fucking show. His mom is in there. His half-brother is in there. His pseudo-dad is in there. He's going to show up and be like, be nice to my fake dad because I wanted him to be my real dad.
Well, I wonder if that's how they'll end it. So I wonder if they'll end it with Picard also becoming a traveler, because like it's who Picard is, right?
Yeah, maybe that's why Wesley didn't talk to him. So he's like, it's not time.
I mean, that's a pretty pie in the sky theory, but it would fit thematically. Although it would also be very similar to what happened to Cisco, so maybe not.
Jack Crusher says, never meet your heroes. And I agree with him. Basically, when he said to Riker that he's learned that, you know, the bigger the legend, the bigger the disappointment. And I'm like, Jack Crusher says, never meet your heroes. Got it, Jack. Very good. So I enjoyed that Worf now accepts his human and Russian heritage. That when he introduces himself as son of Sergei, House of Roshenko. That was very nice.
I caught that he said that, but I'm only now understanding the implications of it.
It was really beautiful. Also, Slayer of Duras. Slayer of Duras, Bane of...
I loved Worf's parents in TNG and wished we got more of them. I thought they were so good.
Worf is fun. I like chill Worf.
Worf is probably the funnest character on TNG.
On Picard,
but he's the funnest.
On Picard or on TNG?
TNG. I think he's the funnest character on TNG.
Well, I feel like he's one of the most fun on Picard now because I like chill Worf.
We'll see how him and Raffi's relation. We don't get any of them in season 4 or in episode 4, unfortunately. Although episode 4 is a pretty packed episode, so I don't blame them. We'll see how their plot line, their mini arc does kind of resolve itself.
Yeah,
with episode 3.
He had some of the best lines in the episode, I feel, though.
Yeah.
You know, I have been, as humans say, working on myself. It is not warrior gear, it is casual.
I personally liked beheadings are on Wednesdays.
Yeah. Would you like some jasmine tea? Yeah. Do you take sugar? Yeah. He was so good. He was so good.
Like, they clearly lied on him being a pacifist, but I do like. I get why they said that, because they're like, he's a lot chiller than he used to be. But he's not a pacifist.
He's pacifist for a Klingon. I think that's what they're saying. For a Klingon, that's a pacifist.
Well, he still beheads a dude, so he's not a pacifist, but he is like chiller. I get why they sold it that way. But like, it's hard to be like, I'm a pacifist.
Who are we? Who are we as humans to judge what a Klingon conception of a pacifist is?
I mean, he's still a raised human, though. And they're still humans selling the show to a human audience.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying maybe that's Klingon version of pacifist, or
I
half
mean,
Klingon version of pacifist,
so
or raised human Klingon
here's
version.
how this scene could have played out with him being a genuine pacifist, just hypothetically. Same thing could have happened. Raffi could have been drugged, fallen to the ground. Same thing. Instead of Worf like going in and beheading people, he could just walked in and just been like, and Raffi could have known who he was. Raffi could be like, Worf, and then
Mm-hmm.
like he could have just stood there, stood them down, and then Raffi could just be like, "Do you know who this is? He's like one of the most violent people in Starfleet. He'll kick your ass." And then like eventually by like upselling who Worf is and them knowing who Worf is, they step down because they don't want Worf to like gut them. And then it's revealed that like I don't do violence anymore. Like that's how a pacifist version of that scene could have gone. They deliberately chose not to do that. I don't have a problem with it. I'm down with what they did. I'm down with like Worf just beheading a dude. Also, as far as like beheading scene goes, way better than Elnor's beheading scene in season 1.
Yeah. I don't think drug dealers step down, even if you say he's a badass who is gonna kill it. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
I
Uh,
like they could have constructed that scene in a way that would have worked that way.
yeah,
They deliberately
I
chose not
suppose.
to.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not saying this is a critique. I'm not saying that they were wrong to construct the scene that way. I liked the scene. I liked the reveal. Um, I'm just like pacifist. Really? Come on now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like he is. Uh, it's interesting. Like I have mixed feelings on the menacing Ferengi because like Ferengi have always historically been played for laughs.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know. I like part of me kind of is like, but once again, if I'm comparing this to Wrath of Khan, Wrath of Khan also has more realistic portrayals of its aliens, so it
Mm,
fits that trope as well. But part of me is like, Star Trek's always kind of goofy. This is a little grim dark, but
I like it.
I'm of two minds. I don't dislike it. Part of me is just like I kind of miss the goofiness, but also like it fits the tone they're
It
going for.
depends. It depends what Star Trek it is that's goofy,
This is
though.
true, but
Right?
even
Because
DS9,
if it's Wrath of Khan and Picard, it's
which is
not goofy.
clearly what they're going for. They're clearly going for a Wrath of Khan.
And
Like
Picard has never
very
been
clearly.
goofy. Like, it's been funny at points, but it hasn't been goofy. TNG has been, and I think maybe that's what's throwing people.
Well, and DS9 wasn't goofy, but the Ferengi were usually goofy in it.
Yeah, yeah. I like the idea of a menacing Ferengi the same way as a Klingon chef.
I want an entire show about the Klingon chef from DS9.
That would be awesome. Okay, so let's go back. Oh, so Beverly, Shaw gets taken out and in an excellent scene, transfers to control of the ship to Riker. You got us into this. You're gonna get us out.
Yeah.
And Beverly saves Shaw's life because she's still an excellent doctor and doesn't rely just on technology.
But
She
also,
is doctoring.
yeah. I also want to like point out how that scene really shows how great a Captain Shaw actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Because even he's like they're dying and he's still problem solving, trying to figure out how to fix this.
Yes, and exactly. I was going to point out he's dying. Beverly is trying to save his life, and Jack is like trying to just comfort him and say, apologize. And he's like, how is she finding us? And basically pointing to the blood, trying to indicate to him, like we're leaving a trail somehow. Pointing to his own freaking blood on the floor to say, we're leaving a trail. How is she finding us? Please find out.
Yeah, I would absolutely watch a show. Like I really I was on Shaw's side right from the get-go, but he is really one like I really like him as a character. I think he's like other than him dead naming Seven, like I really like him. And I would absolutely like if they give him a spin-off, him and like Seven, the spinoff where like it's about Titan, I will watch that show. I mean, it's Star Trek. I'll watch everything, but like I would enthusiastically watch that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was obvious like he was doing it not like to like it doesn't make it any better that he was doing it to be disrespectful, but it wasn't.
Well, it's informed by trauma.
Yeah, it's informed by trauma. It doesn't make it better, but yeah, it was a specific like point. He was making a point, and he didn't abuse her, right?
Yeah.
Like he didn't seem to do anything to punish her other than just like, I mean, demean her humanity. But you know,
I would consider detonating someone abuse, but that was the extent of it.
What? Demoting her?
Dead named.
Oh, dead naming her. I mean, like, yes, but I mean, he didn't, like, you know, as far as we know, he wasn't treating her below her rank. He wasn't forcing her to do shitty things. He wasn't like, you know, there were things that he could have done to abuse his rank other than, dead name her.
He is a dick of a human being, but a good captain is how I characterize him. I had something else to say, and now I forget. Yeah, it's gone.
Jack realizes that he needs Seven to figure out what's going on, and goes to her, and who is still confined to quarters, and just straight up punches out the dude who's guarding her. To which Seven says, "You're insane," and walks off with him. And the first time I watched that said, got an ex-girlfriend like that. I feel like that was a very Raffi move. So
yes.
I feel like she's used to it. She's like, yeah, you're insane. Yeah, my ex-girlfriend's like that. Let's go. Note that Shaw doesn't seem to blame Seven for what she did, unlike as a Borg, unlike Picard, which is a lovely nuance. Yeah, because I think because Picard personally did it to him, and Seven has not, as far as he knows, personally done anything to him.
Picard was Locutus of Borg. Seven was just 7 of 9. Big difference. When he goes on his rant in I think it's episode 4, he goes on the rant. But when he goes on his rant, he stipulates that his reason for being angry at Picard specifically is that he was the Borg that was so important they gave him a name, which the Borgs don't normally do.
It's part of his rant, but I don't think that's his reason. I don't think that's the reason. I think the reason is that he was responsible for destroying his ship. Yeah, he's responsible for everything Shaw went through.
I'm sure, and like we'll talk about that when we get to the season. But I like that scene a lot. That scene was really good.
It was excellent, and Todd Stashwick did an amazing job of it. Mm-hmm. But I think the big difference is as far as, she was from the Delta Quadrant too. So according to Shaw, she's never done anything to him personally.
Yeah.
Whereas Picard, killed all his friends.
A bunch of them.
Killed 11,000 people.
Yeah. So, so we'll get more into that. I think we'll save my conversation about that scene for when we get to that episode. But I overall really liked it. I thought it was fantastic. The fact that he was at Wolf 351 was painfully obvious. But they make it more impactful than just, hey, I was at this thing. The scene really, the acting on it's on point. Like delivery, the writing on it. This is really well done.
Yeah. So actually, Jack went to Seven because Seven was a ranger, and this sort of breadcrumb thing, springing a leak or leaving breadcrumbs in some way is something that the Fenris Rangers tend to do to track a ship. So Seven would have particular knowledge of this, and they realized that it would be a Viridium leak, I believe. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. So they go to find the leak, and the Changeling has made the leak. The Changeling has also put like a bomb on the warp core. It's all bad all around. So, Seven goes to go and fix it because the changeling has locked out all sorts of things. Jack and the changeling get in a fight. Changeling leaves the leak on, leaves Jack to die without a mask on, and Jack has one of his first hallucinations when Seven comes to save his ass.
So, yeah, and like I guess the hallucination you and I read a bit differently, because you read that as like someone calling him. My reading was that this is something that just happens to him all the time.
I thought it hadn't ever happened to him before.
Yeah. So I mean,
it says they say specifically connect the branches, find me, Jack, find me, and the red door opens, and that's when Seven picks him up and takes him away.
Like, so yeah, so I just have very different readings of this, and I mean, we'll just have to wait to see who's right.
I think if it had happened before, we would have seen it happen before this time. That is my belief.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it'll be addressed one way or another, but
what trauma do you think it has to do with? He has not mentioned anything.
I think it's something from before. Like, I think it's tied into why they're hunting him in the first place. Okay. So I think it's something's happened to him before. I think it's tied to why they're hunting him. Something happened to him that tied him to something, and this is why they're initially hunting him. So I don't think this is. That's why.
Why would Beverly not mention it?
Beverly may not know because he's never mentioned it to her.
But they've been together the whole time, almost.
But that just means like she might just think he has seizures. Like, we don't know, because he's exactly the sort of person who would hide that, right? So my assumption.
I think Jack is just one of the few people who acts like he doesn't have PTSD in Star Trek. So I'm not sure that, but we'll see.
We'll see what happens. Like, we'll see who's right. Like, one of us, and it very well might be 50-50 either way.
It's not even a right thing. It's just a theory.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out, because who knows? I
can't there's nothing to say. Like, I don't want to diminish your reading either, because it's just as valid as mine.
Oh yeah, totally. Like, I have no idea what's going on, and it's entirely possible there could be like a lot of shit that's happened to Jack that we don't know about.
Yeah.
He's not talking about.
My assumption is that what's happening with him in these seizures, with these flashbacks, is going to get revealed, and then this is going to be tied into why all these people want him in the first place. Maybe he has some sort of psychic thing living inside. Who fucking knows?
I think it's totally tied into why people want him. I think just maybe the reasons for it. We have different ideas on what that might be.
Like I said, ultimately, we're just going to see how it plays out.
Yeah. So that was a changeling who tries to kill Jack, which is interesting that he tries to kill Jack, because later on we find out in the next episode that Jack is the asset. Well, is Jack the asset? I don't know.
I mean, presumably Jack the asset, because they only ever mentioned being after him.
Yeah, so presumably Jack is the asset. So a little weird that the changeling saboteur tried to kill him.
It is possible to say the changeling was just like, "Fuck this, I'm done."
Yeah, who knows? Maybe he's just tired of being shot and annoyed with everything. So what I've interspersed with the changeling, like, fighting and sabotaging, is Worf and Raffi catch the person who is responsible for the portal attack, and they interrogate him. Somehow Worf is the good cop and Raffi is the bad cop, which I found hilarious. I'm like, how is this happening that Raffi's the bad cop and Worf's like, no, she's crazy. Don't let her beat you. It's fine, Raffi. Calm down. She's like, I'm gonna kill you, buddy. You tell us what is stolen from Daystrom or I will kick your ass. He's like, no, Raffi, calm down. It was just so funny, because I'm like, so the big Klingon guy's being nice. And he is nice until he realizes the guy is changeling terrorist scum.
Yeah.
So The changeling is like, the portal weapon stolen was a distraction. Something else was stolen. I don't know what it is, but he says your worlds are on the verge of destruction. Your federation will crumble. Now I'm like, is it worlds like just all the worlds of the Federation, or worlds like multiple universes worlds? I never know.
Yeah,
Probably I'm overthinking it, and it's just worlds of the Federation.
The more I think about it, the more I think they're all working for lore.
Fucking lore, man, and Moriarty. Are Lore and Moriarty working together? Probably.
I wouldn't be shocked. Remember Lore did something. So I think Lore might be funding the Changeling terrorists because he did the same fucking thing in TNG with the Borg. Remember?
He did. Yeah, he just took over the Borg. He's like, "Oh, you guys are lost. I'm sorry. Let me help you out."
Yeah. So like, I'm wondering if he's doing something similar with the Changelings. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I don't know how like. Yeah, I mean, lore might even just be a one episode bottle episode thing. Like that might just be a one and done. Like, because I think season 3 seems to be more willing to wrap its plots rather than teasing everything out towards the end. But part of the problem with season 1 and 2 was that they would introduce the plot threads and then all of them would get resolved in the last episode. And so last episode would just have so much going on you couldn't keep track of it. Whereas this one is like, we have these plot threads, we have these character arcs. We're going to resolve them in episode 3, and maybe we'll introduce new character arcs with these same characters to carry us through. But we're going to resolve these specific character arcs 4 episodes in. And I think the fact that like it helps the pacing. Because like I think the biggest issue with the past 2 seasons was just the pacing was all over the place. Because once again, they would resolve all of their plot threads in the last episode, and everything would be resolved all at once. And so there'd be no, you wouldn't get the catharsis. You'd be 4 episodes in, you'd be like, okay, where's this going? Like you'd have no moments of catharsis. And then when you do get the catharsis of conclusions, it's all at once. It's just like none of this makes sense. It's too much. So it's, and I bring all that to say that like Moriarty is definitely going to be in this, but he might not be more than a single episode, or maybe 2 episodes. Like he might not be part of the main thread, because the whole plot thread, the Nebula, that's a side plot. It's like a C plot. It's important, and it's thematically important to the ending of the episode, but it's not the reason we're there.
Yeah, I don't know. I depends. Like, I mean, if somebody is behind all the changelings and everything in the Shrike, I don't see it being like sort of a 1 episode wrap up.
No. And like I said, I think that's lore. I think that's going to be the reveal. I think.
Oh, okay, lore. But you like I
don't necessarily think but I don't think Moriarty is necessarily going to be involved in that.
Okay, well, I mean, yeah, if it's a Moriarty separate thing, yeah, I can see that being wrapped up in like 1 episode, 100%.
I mean, obviously, I don't fucking know. This is just me guessing.
Yeah, no. But lore being behind everything, I can totally see that. Who knows? I can just see lore seeking out Moriarty because he was the only person who was like the only entity that was created to be Data.
Yeah, and the more I think about it, the more I think that the attack on the Daystream Institute was to get B4.
So Raffi and Worf end up being like officially working together. Worf tells Raffi that a person, a changeling, a man of honor, we assume Odo, told him that a terrorist faction broke away from the changelings and that are against Starfleet, but if Starfleet acknowledges them, that will spark a new Dominion war. That was a weak part for me because I'm sort of lost on how that works, but whatever. I'm not sure.
Sorry, what's the weak part?
That this terrorist faction that broke away from the changelings, that if Starfleet acknowledges their existence, it will spark a new Dominion war. And I'm like,
I mean,
I guess.
the changelings were pretty thoroughly defeated. So
I'm like, I guess.
But
How? Why? I don't know.
who knows
Whatever.
how things change over 30 years? Maybe the changelings rebuilt their power base.
I don't know. It just was annoying. I'm just glad Odo's around. That's nice to hear. I thought a lot of the changelings were dead. I was confused by all of that, but I guess Worf said that, and I'm like, I guess they're alive. I don't know what's happening.
Like I said, we know that there were changelings in Discovery.
Yep.
We know that they're around 900 years in the future.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are changelings. That's what Worf said. So I'm not gonna argue with him. He beheads motherfuckers. So that could be a problem. Really quickly, I really like the scene with Sidney LaForge in 7, where she was like, "My dad would appreciate your loyalty, and you're my friend." And I'm like, that's nice. I think Geordi would. Geordi was friends with an android, was his BFF. So, I'm sure he's cool with somebody as long as they're loyal. He wouldn't mind being friends with a Borg. He was friends with a Borg.
Yeah, Hugh.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's why probably Sydney's like, my dad liked the Borg. He was friends with him. Hugh was his friend. I'll be friends with you, 7. I will call you 7.
Yeah.
And that actually is a very important scene in episode 4. So
I talk a lot about economy of writing when we talk about Lower Decks, because Lower Decks has some great economy of writing. Picard's not quite as economical, but I do like the fact that Shaw's insistence on dead naming 7 is a plot point.
And gets pushed back against it by some of the crew is like, I'm not going to do that. He's being a dick. I'm going to call you by your name, like the name that you go by, your chosen name.
Yeah.
If you go by a Borg name, well, I'll use your Borg name. That's okay.
Yeah. Well, also, I would say the 7 isn't even her Borg name, because her Borg name is 7 of 9. They're not.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I just like the fact that it wasn't just a throwaway. It was incorporated into the plot.
Yeah, later on. Jack almost dies. Picard goes down. He realizes he's a father. Jack is alive. He's like, oh my God, I'm so glad he's not dead. He goes back up. He and Will have a big argument. And he's like, no, you have to attack. He convinces Will to attack by basically using DNA and Will's son, Theo, against Will by saying, you're basically afraid because you've lost people. And Will is being partially probably cautious because of that, and partially cautious because he wants to get people home to their families, including himself, for reasons, a lot of reasons, some of which we find out next episode. But what happens is they're about to do a rear attack. The Shrike is coming straight at them. The Changeling's bomb explodes. They have no warp power to get out. They have no warp power to get out. The Shrike is coming right at them. Picard's like, you have to fight. They send all the weapons at them, and the Shrike uses that goddamn portal weapon to just open it up and send all of the torpedoes and shit right back at the Titan. And it was cool.
It's the portal weapon's fun. It's a fun weapon. I've never seen, obviously I've played Portal, and one of my favorite X-Men characters has portal powers like that. But I've never seen it in Star Trek. And it was fun to see.
It would drive me crazy in a role-playing game. I would be so frustrated. But with the storyteller or game master, I would want to cry. If that happened to me, I'd be like, I hate you. It's like nullification powers in a superhero game. It's just the most annoying fucking thing in the world.
So if I were a GM running a game with a character with those powers, I would only ever do it in a mini-based game, because the mapping of those powers needs to be exact. I would never do it in usually when I run games, I don't use minis, I don't use maps, I just kind of I go full theater of the mind.
Mm.
I would only ever use those powers
Phrase so
in
funny.
a game with like a very dedicated minis or map, or like, like where you have a really good understanding how placement works.
To digress, theater of the mind. I was so confused by theater of the mind when people started mentioning it, because I'm like, what the hell does that mean? And then I looked it up and I'm like, what, you mean the way I have always played role-playing games has a specific word, like phrase for it? And I was like, oh, okay, sure. All right, whatever. That sounds good.
Yeah, how you and I play role-playing games, because you and I are both the type that don't use really elaborate maps and minis and stuff.
Yeah, so I was like, what, theater of the mind? Oh, okay, so how I play role-playing games, whatever. Just as a legend, can I just say I'm super frustrated that they only fire torpedoes rather than instant favors, which are likely avoid that kind of surprise portal fuckery. Yeah, I mean, they said fire everything you got. Why were there no phasers?
It's actually established in episode 2 that they don't have phasers. There's a dialogue. They say it.
Okay,
they don't have
well, there
phasers.
you go. They've been very good at explaining things, actually, like Jack's accent in this episode.
They explain why the holodeck works, even though the ship's on shore and power.
Which is like the first thing I said. I'm like, why the fuck is the holodeck on? And they explained it like 2 seconds later, and I was like, thank you. I didn't care that much about Jack's accent, but then they explained that too, and I'm like, oh, okay. He went to school in London, and he never lost the accent. Like, oh, all right, cool.
Yeah, cool. Jack's accent I never question. Like, I don't question accents in Star Trek, but because then you have to get into why Picard has a British accent, which does actually get explained in Picard.
Yes, it does. I'm sure all the French were super thrilled with that. Super, super fun.
Well, there's 2 explanations. There's the explanation in TNG, which is that French just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, which all the French are like.
And then there's a separate there's a different explanation given in Picard, where it's just that he studied in England. So basically the exact same answer.
That's more fair. You study in England, whatever. So yeah, they are just falling into the gravity well. Everything looks bad, and that's when Riker's like, "You've killed us all," and the bridge crew is all looking at each other. Well, the whole time they're fighting, the bridge crew is like, "This is awkward. These people, I read about them in textbooks, and they're having a personal issue on the bridge disguised as an argument about strategy. This seems, we're all in a bad situation. Could you just figure it out?" And then, oh, you've killed us all. Are we all dead? That seems bad. Why are they not figuring it out?
This is one of those. This is one of those scenes that old Trek never would have had. You never would have seen the scene on TNG. But I mean, it's like the lighting, right? So you go from this really comfortable lighting in TNG, where like sort of place you would live in, right? Like, unless you're me, I have very dramatic lighting in my bedroom. But most people don't live like me and don't live with like dramatic colored lighting. Most people like the flat overhead lighting, that sort of, and it's a technical reason in TNG. It's just because like they've got to build. They've just got to build like sets that look good from any angle.
I'd love to live in
but
hard lighting, disco lighting.
TNG has the sort of lighting that you would expect to see on a place that people live and work. Whereas Picard and Discovery have this lighting that like no one would live in this place, no one would work in this place. It's dim, it's hard to navigate, but it makes everything really dramatic.
It also seems very comfortable to me. I don't like harsh lights.
I don't either. That's what I said. Like I have a wall light I do not use. I have dramatic lighting on my wall. I have a ceiling light I do not use because I hate it.
Neither do I. I have lamps.
I have LED panels on my wall.
We're neuroatypical, so we're neurodiverse. So like lights are bad.
But most people, I think, if they were to live in a space like allistic people. If they live in space, they would prefer to live in someplace like TNG Enterprise as opposed to
Yeah,
Picard.
they want to see.
You want to see.
They want to see. They don't like nice ambient lighting that's warm and beautiful and doesn't like burn your eyelids out.
So, but
Comfortable darkness.
It's not even a setting or lore thing. It's just because TNG set they needed lighting that would look good from all angles. Because you're filming 26 episodes, you don't have the budget. You just need lighting that's going to look good from every angle.
Yeah, it was cheap.
Whereas in Picard, I loathe Into Darkness. I hate Into Darkness.
No, into the darkness.
Oh, into the darkness. Okay.
Into the darkness.
Whereas like this show, they have a higher budget, they have fewer episodes, so they can take their time to reset the cameras and redo the lighting for every take. Mm-hmm. And that gives them the opportunity to have this dramatic lighting, and I feel like the scene where like Riker's like, "You just killed everyone on the ship," like that's just part of the more dramatic ethos.
Yeah, DS9 did. I like DS9's lighting a lot. I think they had more money.
It's a good balance between the two styles.
I think they had more money because they had more aliens too.
And more elaborate sets.
Yeah, so they made, but also they didn't have to move between planets all the time. Yeah. So they were in one place. So they might have been able to light the sets better. I don't know.
The promenade is more elaborate than any set in TNG. But also, once again, they're not building new sets for like villages and stuff like that, alien planets. Also, TNG shared their sets with the movies.
Mm.
Right. So like the like engineering in TNG, that is the same set you see in the later TOS era movies.
Okay. Probably with DS9, Ron Moore was like, I won't work in these conditions. There's too much light. Just dial it down.
Well, so I think
Battlestar Galactica was very.
I think they also wanted to visually separate it from TOS, or sorry, from TNG. So they went with a more darker, more naturalistic lighting, and also, it's not set on a human vessel. Because if you notice, for whatever reason, probably because they don't need to keep the sets.
Yeah.
Alien vessels in TNG are always shot more dramatically than the Federation ships.
Do you think since we've wrapped up this episode, we're moving on to the next one? With
we're now just talking about Star Trek, not.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna move on to the next one. Just to segue, do you think Shaw and Sisko know each other? Have they had a drink and complained about Locutus and Borg?
They might, but
they need to meet each other. I think Sisko and Shaw need to be friends.
Well, they both have
a conversation.
Directly. They both got to tell off Picard directly for being Locutus. So they have that in common. So in their hearts.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if they haven't met, I bet Sisko is like, hey, I heard you told off Picard. Good job.
Yeah. Well, Sisko's up there with the wormhole aliens now. So he probably knows because they are
that's right.
And shit.
That's right. So he's just like somewhere he was like,
yeah.
Nice work. Nice telling him off. So the second episode is called No Win Scenario, which obviously references the Kobayashi Maru, among other things. So Vadic, who is a changeling, contacts their superior and is ordered to pursue the Titan at all costs.
I don't think Vadic is a changeling. I think just her hand is a changeling. We'll get to that later, but
I think she is, but I don't know. I don't think just her hand is, but that would be interesting. It would be interesting if you could just have your hand be a changeling.
It's because I don't think she'd need the knife if she wasn't changeling entirely.
I think you still need to cut off a part. I don't. Anyway, I'll go through this.
Yeah.
Doing so in the nebula requires disengagement of the portal technology. Yeah, they leave it outside the nebula. With only a few hours of power remaining on the Titan, Riker admits Picard was right and suggests he spends his last moments bonding with Jack. In the holodeck, Picard and Jack tell each other some of their adventures, but are joined by Shaw, who bitterly recounts his experience as a Starfleet engineer during the Battle of Wolf 359. When Picard has been assimilated by the Borg, and was attacking the Federation. Riker, Beverly, and Picard form a risky plan, and Jack form a risky plan to use an energy pulse from the nebula to recharge the ship system. Shaw and Seven help them succeed, and Seven identifies and kills the changeling imposter. The Titan damages the Shrike on their way out of the nebula, now with many jellyfish-like space creatures. As they warp away, Picard realizes that he briefly met Jack 5 years earlier and inadvertently dismissed his attempt at connection. Alone, Jack has vivid hallucinations of a destroyed world and a voice saying, "Find me." And
honestly, all the Jack seeing like red doors, that's cribbed word for word, scene for scene from the Immortal Hulk. Like the red door, that's the red door opening with like white, that's all cribbed. Someone read the Immortal Hulk and was like, "I'm taking this."
Huh. Interesting.
Let's see. I have some Immortal Hulk right beside me, right here. Does it have the red door in it? Because the red door is.
So there was definitely a lot about Shaw in this episode for sure, and a few others, and about Riker actually.
Oh, by the way, if you like horror comics, Immortal Hulk, genuinely one of the best horror comics I've ever read. I don't know whose idea it was. Actually, I do. It was Al Ewing. Al Ewing's idea of turning the Hulk into a horror comic. Fucking brilliant. Genuinely one of the best things Marvel's put out in years.
Cool.
Let's see if I can find the red door. Oh, I can. Yeah. Right there. There's the. Let's see how it shows up. There's the red door.
Oh, interesting.
It's exactly like what happened. It's exactly like what you see in Star Trek.
Huh. Well, sometimes people crib things, and sometimes it's just a coincidence.
I am not saying this as an insult.
Oh no, I'm just saying.
Stolen.
I'm just saying sometimes. I'm saying sometimes people don't see things; they just sort of do them, and it is a similar thing without people seeing it as well. Genesis of Legend said it looked like changeling biotech, like you were suggesting, Green. The hand situation. She was wearing a glove. What's up?
It's just about heartburn.
Oh, okay.
I usually have Tums right beside my computer, but I can't seem to find them.
Do you need to take a quick?
There. It's all these samosas I'm eating.
Oh, okay. So, I'm just gonna mute it for a sec while you do that, as it's quite loud. Okay, that's probably not loud anymore. There we go. So the flashbacks were interesting, as I said earlier. About partway through, like the second one, I think I figured out where they were going. And the interesting thing about the flashback, the stories could have just been stories, but again, like this, like these are all things that tie into the plot. So, Cadet's asking about the Hirogen. He talks about how war solved the problem and how your crew's support can mean all the difference. So basically, like relying on your crew, relying on the people that you work with keeps coming up. And we see that, you know, it's like, even though they're having all these problems, like Riker is kind of like in a bad place and Picard is distracted with Jack, it's Beverly who, as usual, is solving the freaking problem, right?
Yeah. Beverly is the most unsung character on all of TNG.
Yeah. And interestingly, later on, The next flashback mentions the Tamarians and how, Picard had to figure out that they, communicate through use of metaphor, right? Through use of references.
So that's actually a question I wanted to ask you. My memory for Star Trek is pretty good, but the two of the three stories Picard tells, plus them referencing Farpoint, are actual episodes. I don't remember an episode where Worf makes a deadfall. Was it an episode and I'm just forgetting about it, or did they make that up for the episode?
I'm not sure because it has to do with being in the Delta Quadrant. And I don't remember them being in the Delta Quadrant, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, the only time they do that is when they encounter the Borg the first time. That's the only time I remember them going to the Delta Quadrant.
Yeah, so this might have been something else. But with the Tamarians and talking about communicating in that way, I thought it was interesting because it's important because later Picard realizes that communicating with Shaw requires like Tellurians, Tellurian is communicating with insults. So, later on when he calls him a dipshit, even though you're just a dipshit from Chicago and, I need an old grease monkey, he realizes he realizes communicating with Shaw requires communicating on a certain level. So he learns to talk Chicago, basically. And I thought that was kind of great that those references. And then, of course, the Jack Crusher story is the way that he remembers, oh, Jack was actually there.
Does Tellurian, is that the same thing as a Tellarite?
Tellarite, sorry, Tellarite.
Oh, okay.
It was Tellarite.
Okay, I wasn't sure if because my memory for some specific.
No, it's my spell check changed it on me. So Tellarite. So it's sort of like talking to Tellarite.
I'm glad the Tellarites are getting acknowledged these days. They're weird. They're really important to the lore of Star Trek. We never see them until New Trek. They're the president of the Federation in Star Trek 6 is a Tellarite, but I think that's the only time, despite them being extremely important to the lore,
Prodigy.
In old Trek, we see them.
Prodigy.
Well, Prodigy, yeah, but Prodigy is New Trek.
Yeah, you were saying just, yeah.
Oh, and Enterprise?
In Prodigy, like in New Trek, you said.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Apparently Enterprise, although I don't remember them.
Anyway, I just thought that was a good way of using the flashbacks to kind of be talk about the crew, talk about the Tamarians, show that he needed to find a way to communicate with Shaw on his level in his way.
I also completely missed those similarities. Like you picked up on that. I just read over my head. Missed them completely.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it was a good way to do it because it was necessary that those stories tie in, and then like I said, the story about Jack Crusher indicating that Jack had already heard this story once before. So that was pretty good. And I got where Riker was in the situation, but I was very frustrated with him for not actually trying to get out of the situation and just sort of giving up. It didn't feel very Riker. They explained more about where why he was there, but it seemed like I didn't want him. I said I didn't want him to give up on those kids. They were smart, and I was like, Michael Burnham would have scienced it up with the crew. Michael would have been like, how do we figure our way out of this? And everybody, Riker and Picard, were just like, well, time to die. And I'm like, I don't know if it's because they're old or what, but
yeah, I mean, this kind of goes into my issue with Picard being overly aggressive last episode. Mm-hmm. Just that, Riker feels too cowed, and Picard feels too aggressive. Whereas these are Picard also would never have given up. Picard would have Picard's whole thing is that his ship would be under fire, active, and he would be like, all right, everyone in the ready room, we're gonna figure out a peaceful I mean, it wouldn't sound like that because I can't do a Picard save my life. But he would have pulled all his officers into the ready room while being under fire to discuss peaceful solutions. So to him being like, we must destroy them is weird to me. And this is the same thing. This is Riker he's a Kirk type, right? Like that was sort of the TNG dynamic, as they reversed. They gave the more logical thinking through situations to Picard, and they made the sort of gung ho one the number two to reverse the Spock trope. But it really how quick he gives up. Although I did love the speech, which I'm granted that's episode 3, but I did love the speech about how like he was talking about how like I just found death out here, like, and his whole thing with like Deanna, I
No,
turned
that
off
was
my
this episode.
emotions. Oh,
That was
was
this
that
episode.
okay?
That's what I said. That's what we find out why. Because like I was frustrated, but then he explains kind of like,
Yeah.
you know,
That scene is great. And him being like, my partner's an empath, and I turned off my emotions, so I had to come here to like get away. Like I like that scene a lot, even if I thought how cowed he felt a little out of character.
yeah, like basically it was right after this. Like I said, I got where Riker was here, Michael Burnham, and it's basically like Riker was not actually doing so well when we saw him last in Picard season 1. It seemed like he was, but he was not actually doing so well. He doesn't believe in an afterlife. He said, like, I've never seen anything that indicates there will be anything after death.
I mean,
and
Kirk
that
met God.
Well, he doesn't know that. That's classified apparently.
Kirk also blew up God. Or well, the Klingons blew up God, but yeah,
that's classified too. But he literally felt nothing after Theo died. Oh, quickly on the Tellarite and Andorian, End of Enterprise had some decent Andorian and Tellarite content in season 3, which was nice, including awkward attempts of a Tellarite to be polite and Archer trying to be abrasive. Which, knowing Archer, that would be pretty funny. Actually,
I've watched all of Enterprise. I remember the Andorian content, but don't remember the Tellarites very well.
So, even Riker, like the way Riker deals with the changeling in this is sort of indicative of kind of where he is, because like Seven is like, there's a changeling and there's a saboteur, and Riker's like, we just can't afford to like tank the morale any further. Let's just keep it quiet. And Seven's like, what the fuck are you even talking about? And he's like, yeah, no, everybody's just upset. You just go and find him. And I'm not going to reinstate you, so you can just do it unofficially. And that's what sends Seven to Shaw and brings Shaw and Seven together hilariously, and to turn them into BFFs eventually. This is what I'm predicting and hoping for. Which is great, because he's keeps saying don't come. Which I thought was good.
Shaw's solution on how to deal with the changeling threat, really solid. Like that a lot.
Also, did you notice Shaw knows a lot about changelings? Seven's like, I've never met one. Shaw's like, let me tell you about changelings.
But that
I know everything.
Well, that tracks, because Seven would have been out in the Delta Quadrant, and Shaw would have been hip deep in the Dominion War.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking, and I'm thinking I'm starting to believe that he is a dick, and he but he got promoted, and also got promoted despite the fact that he's not, the most social guy, because Wolf 359 and Dominion War and et cetera, and sometimes he's just, lucky, as Gary said, because he's lucky number 10. He just keeps getting to be lucky number 10 every time.
Yeah.
And, you get to be that guy enough time, and you end up being the captain of a ship.
But he's not just the captain of any ship. He's the captain of the Titan. Like, that, it's a flagship. It's up there with the Enterprise.
So, I think he's just survived enough times and managed to survive through enough battles and come out on top that they're just like, we have to give it to him. He's a dick, but he's a good captain. I hate that guy, but he can captain a ship.
Yeah, I mean, they could have stuck him with the Cerritos, so he's clearly competent.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, like compared to that, I see why Seven went to him, because like Riker can't even record a message to Deanna. Jack and Picard are in 10 forward. That's what Picard's doing. And Beverly's in sickbay, but she doesn't even know anything about Beverly and wouldn't even know that she would be the best person to solve the problem, which Beverly is freaking doing. Thank God for Beverly. So, you know that Shaw worked on a Cali class ship back in the day. He's best friends with Mariner. He knows Mariner.
Might be on the Cerritos right now because Lower Decks is set before Picard.
Oh my God! Yeah,
so
no,
it's very possible.
He is served with one Beckett Mariner. That's why he's so pissed off all the time.
It is very possible that they could toss him as a cameo, as like a junior engineer.
I would love to see that
on the Cerritos.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. So, yeah, like that. There was a great part where, Shaw basically his plan is that that Seven needs to find the changeling's pot, which leads to a funny weed joke where Shaw is sad about not having weed. Where I'm like, dude, you're my best friend now. I love Shaw so much.
That shit. I mean,
I don't know.
I guess like they do have like Starfleet does have prescriptive prohibition against alcohol, which is why they always.
I guess you just couldn't smoke on a ship. I guess you'd just be
like I said,
vaping.
They're not allowed to drink alcohol, which is because they always drink synthahol, which is like tastes like alcohol but doesn't get you drunk. Which like why?
Yeah, syntha weed is probably not as good. And I mean, this would be the time, like right about then, I'd be like, man, I would want to spark up a giant, like, fucking joint.
Well, also, like, if you're, synthahol is never made, because alcohol doesn't taste that, like, I mean, I don't drink alcohol very often. So alcohol doesn't taste that good. Without the inebriation, I don't see what the point is. At that point, just drink anything else.
Yeah. So, Shaw's plan is to find the changeling's pot, which is basically looks a lot like Odo's receptacle, and to find the residue in the pot to run tests on and find out like where and who this changeling is. And when Seven leaves, Shaw's answer is whatever. All of this made me love him more. Shaw for Admiral. I think they do. I said I think Shaw and Sisko needs to meet, definitely. So yeah, the Vadic contacts her superior through either changeling hand or being a changeling. But yeah, like she has to cut off her hand and put it in a dish, and it turns into a floating face.
Yeah,
which is also creepy looking.
So really...
do you think it's like attached with the glove if it's just the hand or something?
Yeah, I think it's. I don't think it's actually I don't think it's straight up a changeling. I think it's like some sort of changeling biotech. Like I think it's. Although I strongly suspect whatever it is they're using as a tracker as well, which is why she's so threatened by them.
Well, she's also like, it basically spoiled me at the beginning of the episode. What
Genesis Legend says.
Oh, but like I'll put it up in a sec, but one of the episodes, it spoiled me because the subtitles said Changeling 1 and Changeling 2.
Oh.
So those people piloting the ship are changelings. She might not be, but the people on the ship speaking the weird language are changelings.
Interesting.
For sure. I've also seen people saying
my subtitles just said alien. They didn't say changeling.
Mine said changeling one of the episodes. And also some people have said it's Dominion script on the ship.
Yeah, I thought it was weird that like they should be using, I mean, who knows where they're going, but those aliens seem a lot like the Jem'Hadar.
They might be. So, as you said, Genesis of Legend, you both think it's changeling biotech prosthetic.
Yeah, I don't think she is a changeling. I'm still not. I'm still not totally off the idea that she is Romulan intelligence in some way.
Maybe they took her hand.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past that. And like Romulan intelligence, yeah, they could easily bioengineer her to look different.
Yeah.
That would not be a problem. So, you know, I put Changeling looks really gross now. The Changeling 7 does track down the Changeling. The Changeling destroys the evidence of the pot, which I thought was interesting. Kills a witness, destroys the pot. 7 shoots the Changeling's arm off, and the Changeling like tries to kill her, but 7 shoots the Changeling enough that it like just like oozes off.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. I don't know why it killed the witness. Like, this Changeling is just super murderous.
I think it killed the witness because it was going to try to kill 7. And it didn't want witnesses to see it do that.
And it didn't want its DNA or anything scanned.
Yeah, because it shoots the pot. So it kills the dude and then shoots the pot before it tries to shoot 7.
Changeling so smarmy hand would be super handy. If it can do other things, I'm wondering if it can only contact the person or the whatever.
Yeah.
Handler. So let's go to 10 forward. Let's have some discussion about that. There's a lot that goes on there. So first off, Jack and Picard have a conversation. The holodeck has its own power source to be a stress relief in times of emergencies. So I was glad that they explained that, because I was like, why the fuck is the holodeck on?
Yeah. Didn't phase me, didn't need an explanation. Find it interesting they did that though.
I think it was good because it was very obvious that the ship was on low power. Yeah. And using it to power the holodeck seemed a little like ridiculous. So I'm glad they wrote that in, because like I was immediately like, what the fuck, guys? Really? Yeah. You're gonna turn on the holodeck? Come on. So they have some conversations. They seem to be getting along. Jack asks about the elephant in the room. When is his hair going to go? That's nice. Joke. Picard admits that it's him that needs time with his son, not the other way around. Jack Crusher is like, why? I didn't think that she hated you enough to name me after her first husband. He's like, yeah, I would have picked the same name, which I was like, I knew it, because he's like, Jack was my best friend too.
Yeah.
So he tells the story that he told in the real 10 forward when Jack was there to overhear him 5 years ago, about Jack Crusher and him flying blind through an asteroid storm because they'd gone to get laid and it didn't work out. And they, were in an accident with their shuttle. So for 10 hours, they had to do that. So cool story, but basically Shaw interrupts them, and he's super high on pain meds, and gives one of the best monologues that we've seen in Star Trek in some time, I think, to be honest.
Yes. I really like the monologue. I really like that it's so believable that, like, so the monologue is that, like, you were like, I was at Wolf 359, I was like a junior engineer, I was like a nobody.
I have some quotes, actually.
Okay.
He was a grease monkey in engineering, and all of a sudden, boom, it was like space itself was burning. Mm-hmm. And I said the sound work in this, it was exceptional. We talked about this a little bit before the stream, that they have in the background while he's telling the story, you can hear screams and people like fire and all of the explosions quietly in the background. And there's a point where they cut to Picard as well, and that sound work is still happening in the background. And I'm like, oh shit, they can both hear it. They're both there right now. And I thought that was exceptional. And basically, he talks about how they didn't get on the last life pod because they waited for a ranking officer, and the lieutenant came down, who was probably the last ranking officer on the ship. And she, sorry?
And literally just, I was just going to say, she literally just chose who lived and died at
She
random.
just pointed at people. Yeah,
Yep.
she just started pointing, he said. Yeah.
And, like, that scene where he describes that, it's so well acted.
Yeah, he's like, you, and me, I'm just a dipshit from Chicago, and suddenly it's me. I'm lucky number 10. Yeah, he was just so good. Like, and he said, they were all my friends. They were all my Jack Crusher.
Yeah.
And he said, I asked myself the same. I know. I asked myself the same thing. Did she make a mistake?
Mm-hmm.
In saving me, basically. And then he says that I never knew how many people died, actually, or I forgot, at Wolf 359, and he says 11,000 dead.
Yeah.
And then he says, forget all that weird shit on the Stargazer, meaning Agnes Girardi and her Borg. Yeah. The real Borg are still out there. Yeah. And during that, as you said, he points to him and says, where was your dad during this? He was on that Borg cube. The only Borg evil enough to get Elaine, the cutest of Borg, setting the world on fire. Yeah, it was, and there had been more crew that had come in during the time, so there's just crew standing around going,
right, well,
upward.
So the whole reason that the holodeck is allowed to run even when they're on emergency power is because it's like off-duty, non-necessary crew who aren't doing things. It's a place to send them to act as comfort.
Yeah, I mentioned, so like it's a stress relief. It's to help people, feel.
So as this conversation is happening, and as like Jack and Picard before this are talking, like crew is filtering in.
Mm-hmm.
So there are people overhearing these conversations. It's a well done scene.
There's probably, and this is Shaw's crew, who has probably never seen him be this vulnerable or never heard the story before. Standing around watching him like just fall apart. And there's probably about 20 people in there.
About that, yeah.
Yeah, just watching this. And when he's done, they're just like, Picard leaves because Jack tries to shut it down. And Picard's like, no, it's okay. I understand. And he leaves. And everyone's just like, okay. And he says, what is it? Forgive me. At some point, asshole became a substitute for charm.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I feel that. I've been there. I was like, this guy, everything he does, I just like him more.
He also very relatable.
Mm-hmm. He also said that he was a little out of it because, he says to Jack, your mom is very liberal with the pain meds. So, as I said before, he was super high.
Yeah.
And Genesis of Legend said Picard accepting that and leading was the most Picardist, quietest heroism I've seen in time. It was beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, Picard was just like. Also, it signaled Picard's humanity to Shaw, because it let Shaw know that like
it was empathy. Yeah.
Picard feels bad about this too.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it showed that he understood. He understood, you have every right to be mad at me, and I'm not going to push back on that. Like, your trauma is perfectly understandable, and your anger at me for that is perfectly understandable. Even though, I had no control over that situation, I still did that. Mm-hmm. I'm still the person that did that, and he bears a lot of guilt for that.
Yeah. I really dug this scene. I thought it was really good.
I thought it was wonderful, and I just really hope we get to see more of Todd Stashwick in Star Trek. It's just great that they cast him. I love that they made him antagonist. I just love everything about him.
Okay, here's a pitch. I don't know if they're going to do this. A Titan, Star Trek Titan, Shaw, Seven, Raffi, Worf, Crusher, Geordi's daughter, and then like 1 or 2 new characters.
People want this. Like, people have already wanted this. Like, people are asking for this. They say Jack too. Put Jack on the show. People want it. 100%. They want this to happen. Like, and that cast has been suggested, or some variation of that.
Well,
like,
I really want to see Raffi. I want to see Raffi and Seven together. Like,
yeah,
I don't mind that I'm
exactly.
angry that we didn't get to see it. I don't mind that they broke up, but I'm upset that we didn't get a period of them together before they broke up.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been nice. And I mean, I think that scene was also like how I say they build on each other's scene. The scenes, like that scene and everything that Shaw said was important to Picard understanding him. And then when they needed him, like as they said, they needed all the crew, and they needed all the older people in the crew in particular, which was particularly interesting. They needed Shaw because he understood how to hotwire the nacelles. When they went to talk to him, like I said, like he knew that like the Tamarians, that Shaw had a specific way of communicating. And when he went to ask for his help, he said, you know, I need your help, even though you are indeed a dipshit from Chicago.
Yeah.
And I need an old grease monkey who can do this. Like he knew he needed to speak his language. And I thought that was great. Like they just build on these things. And like you said, Green, they're making character arcs.
Yeah.
They're understanding each other. They're building connections. And like Picard said, people need connection. And I was like, connection, you know, which is a big discovery word, right? You know,
and they're not waiting till episode 10 to resolve these character arcs. They're not teasing them out for a full 10 episodes. So we're getting these little beats of catharsis throughout the series that keeps you interested.
And I mean, Nog should be there. Yeah, I would love to see Jake. Actually, that would be really nice.
I hope Jake never joins Starfleet. Like I'm happy with him like going off being a civilian writer. But
I would love to see Jake at the restaurant, you know, sitting at a table writing and saying, "Come on into my granddad's restaurant," you know,
or like have him just hanging around 10 Forward or something.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be nice. I wouldn't want Jake to be part of Starfleet either. I like that, you know, he's out of that. But yeah, I mean, just everything with Shaw, and like I like that they're respecting Shaw's trauma and not making it like he's a problem. And yeah, even if we just had Jake's book, just put it on someone's shelf or something like that, or you know,
or like have someone
reading it. Yeah, that'd be great. Just have someone reading it. Shaw can be a fan. I love that Jake Sisko.
Yeah,
he's such a great novelist.
He's a good structuralist. He's a good structurist writing.
Yeah, I like that. He knows how to put together a story. So, another thing about Shaw that I thought was interesting is Shaw also knew when the Changeling would try to fuck them over. So, like, I think the idea that he's probably fought in the Dominion War, it probably has some, that holds some weight to it, because he was like said to Seven when they were working on the nacelles, you know, if I were the Changeling, this is when I would screw us. And that's when they set up basically the trap for the Changeling. That's when Seven told Riker not to let anyone come down, only to do it with the two of them. And that's when, you know, the faux Sidney LaForge came down. And Seven was able to figure out that it was not Sidney LaForge, because Sidney LaForge called her Commander Hansen and not Commander Seven.
Unrelated, I'm gonna digress for a moment. You might know this because you pay more attention to this sort of thing than I do. Did this season of Picard have a different showrunner? I know it had a different audio producer. I know the person who did the music is different.
No, it's been Terry Metalis the whole time, I'm pretty sure.
It feels so different from the previous. Because it's Terry Metalis. Looking up his IMDb. That took me.
He's named like 2 planets after himself now.
What was the other one? I caught the one.
Metalis Prime, and then Metalis Prime with the like apostrophe, and then he talks about Metalis some other one. I forget what the
I think there's
exactly.
I think there's might be Metalis in Lower Decks or Strange New Worlds.
No, he talks.
No?
No, he talks about it. Jack talks about a Metallus.
Oh, okay. I assumed it was the same planet.
A total shithole. No, they seem different.
Okay.
Sounded
Okay,
like there was some freak script doctoring. Entirely possible. I mean, he did direct both of these episodes, so he probably had a fair amount of chance to work on like any of the script.
He didn't showrun season 1, but he did showrun season 2.
Oh, okay, interesting. Who was the season 1 showrunner?
I don't know. Let me up. I'm just looking up. I'm looking up his IMDb, and he is only listed as season 2 and 3. Let me see who showruns season 3. Also season 3 was put under. I mean, STBC CBS All Access is just Paramount Plus. They really are the same service. Akiva
Goldsman. Yeah, probably. Yeah,
it looks like Akiva Goldsman did season 1.
Okay. So yeah, that's
basically. And then Akiva Goldsman also did season 2 with Terry Metalis helping, and this one is Metalis on his own.
Oh, okay.
So there has been a change of status quo, and that might be why this feels so different from the other ones.
But Akiva Goldsman runs like mostly like as one of the Star Trek executive producers.
Yeah.
So I mean, there is that influence over all of Star Trek.
Oh, and he comes in from Fringe. I said, oh, and he was a big guy on Fringe, apparently.
Yeah.
I'm looking at people's IMDb's right now.
Okay. We need to wrap it up, so let's focus on the plot. So that scene was an opportunity for Seven to underline that Sidney LaForge always calls her Commander Seven and never Commander Hansen. So to underline to Shaw that, he's being a bit of a dick. And he seemed to take that under advisement. Did you think?
Yeah, I like that scene a lot too. And I definitely think that, like, did we get payoff? Does he call her Seven later in the episode? I forget.
No, he does not. He does not call her Seven. He just kind of says, like he says something like that seemed, I forget what the line is, but he says something that indicates I got your point.
Yeah, like I definitely got that message. I just couldn't remember if there was a payoff to it or not.
No payoff.
I guess
yet.
that is the payoff, but
no full payoff yet.
I like how the scene plays out. And quite frankly, it's one of those things where
he might say Commander. Yeah, he might say Commander. Like he might say something like "Got it, Commander" or something like that. I think. Yeah.
I like how that scene. Like I like how well sometimes knowing what's going to happen actually increases the drama of the scene. Because like I figured out right away. I'm like, oh, changeling. Like the second she walked in, I'm like,
Yeah. Well, she's also flying the freaking ship, right?
Yeah. Well, that's exactly it. That's how.
Yeah, it was pretty easy to figure it out.
And it was just sort of like, it's like, oh, I see where this is going. Let's see how it plays out. And like, so it's one of those things where like sometimes knowing what's going to happen actually increases the drama, and it was definitely like one of those things where it's like I know exactly what's going on here, but I am invested in how it's going to play out.
When Beverly figured it out and was like, oh, this Nebula is giving birth also, and they all meet in the ready room, I had in all caps, Beverly figures it out. Thank God someone bothered. And so basically they're absorbing energy from the birth and riding the birth wave out, and opening the nacelles is part of the way to charge them. And that's actually Will's contribution to the plan. Once he buys in, because he's super fucking stubborn at first and is at least we'll leave something behind, and just very macabre and like depressed and sad because he is depressed he's depressed. Like that's basically where he is. He doesn't feel anything, and he's in a bad place.
Picard season 2 really, like, as much as I don't like it, it really did set Picard's themes about being about mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
Which It's also kind of themes of Discovery. So this could, like, exploring mental illness could just be like Star Trek's current thing.
I think it is, because this has all been about trauma. I was going to say, it's like another show, another few episodes that are about trauma, and we have some extremely freaking traumatized people involved in this. So, I mean, like, Shaw is like one of the new ones, like, that are like, damn, man, you need some therapy and some weed. I will get you both, man. Like, I'll help you out. So I thought it was great that everyone kind of had like an idea for this escape, and they were planning. And I'm like, thank God you're gonna try and get it out. But also the line that I really liked, that Beverly, because Beverly was the one really pushing it. And again, like, yeah, really an underrated character. We're gonna have to invite that person on who's writing, Dr. Crusher, Pioneer Woman, pilot, etc. on to talk about Beverly, because she's really turning out to be like the driver through this season. When she said, let's do what we spent our entire lives learning to be great at, which is just basically, can we stop fucking around and just science our way out of this shit?
Yeah. Crusher has always been one of my favorite characters on Star Trek TNG. I always thought she was undersung, and she was always one of my favorite characters.
If there's not something wrong with me, there must be something wrong with the universe.
Yeah. That's a good episode. That's one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, me too. She just would not, she refused to give up. Like, she's just like, I'm going to figure this out if it kills me.
Some of the Beverly episodes are pretty bad, but that one's top tier track. One of the best episodes.
She's so smart and so good at her job, and just competent and wonderful and amazing. And this is a Beverly Crusher appreciation show as well. Beverly Crusher and Commander Shaw appreciation show. So Riker redeems himself by giving a really awesome shipwide address and saying, I'm only effective as you are, essentially. And yes, Genesis of Legend says, can I just say that the Titan obviously does not have a counselor? Yeah. Or Shaw's not using that counselor, obviously.
I just want to use this opportunity to go back to one of my favorite. So overall, I did not like Discovery Season 2, but it has one of my favorite little details, which is that the woman who is Pike's boss, like the general, she's a counselor. She never saw combat. I always thought that was fascinating.
They need to dig up David Cronenberg. Make him Shaw's, it's not the right time.
Yeah.
Not the right timeline, but maybe he can be really old.
Freeze Shaw for 900 years.
Oh, was he in the future? I thought he was in the past.
Cronenberg?
Yeah.
No, Cronenberg's from 900 years in the future. He's part of Discovery after they go forward.
I thought he was in the past. I can't remember. I can't remember anything anymore.
Because he's hanging out with the Empress until the Empress gets sent back.
Gotcha. Emperor. Thank you. Anyway, so they have to get out. It works. The plan works. Yay. Yep. But they also have to get through the asteroids. And they do so by Jack Crusher doing the thing that the first Jack Crusher did with Picard, which is Jack calls the asteroids, and Picard doesn't. Yeah, Picard is doing the piloting. So there you go. That's kind of cool. He's just channeling the spirit of his namesake, who has no genetic material in common with him. But that's okay.
And we also have glorious payback for the Shrike.
Oh yes, yeah.
Throwing a ship at them.
Yeah, so Will really comes back into himself in that moment, I think. Yeah. You want to say what he does?
Will is just like, uses the tractor beam to grab an asteroid and then uses it to fling the asteroid at the Shrike. And I had some complaints about the animation on the Shrike throwing the ship at the Enterprise. I just thought it was an awkward animation. This animation was perfect. They sold this.
Yeah, and Gary pointed out that he picked up an asteroid and dragged it in a perfect way so it was right behind the Titan. So there was no way she could have seen it coming.
Yeah.
It was beautiful, beautiful payback. And Beverly, Will, did you just throw an asteroid at the Shrike? You're goddamn right, I did.
Also, I do owe the people, the writers of Star Trek Picard, an apology. Last time we recorded, I shit talked the naming of the Shrike because it's a very common sci-fi tropey name. It pops up ever since the classic science fiction novel Hyperion, where they have a robot called the Shrike. It's a name that keeps popping up throughout all sci-fi, but they really like thematically nailed what a Shrike is. So it's more than just them calling out to Hyperion, this classic sci-fi book. It really is does the name Shrike and what a Shrike is, which is just this. The Shrike's it's a little tiny bird. It's like a round bird. They don't look particularly menacing at all. But what they do is they grab their prey and they like impale their prey on spikes and then eat them while they're alive. There are these really vicious birds that look really cute, and you would not expect them to be so vicious.
Yeah, they are really cute.
And I assumed they were just calling it the Shrike because, you know, classic sci-fi name, Hyperion, yada, yada, yada. They really thematically made her like, they're like, no, they call her a Shrike because that's the theme.
No, it picked the ship apart bit by bit when it was, you know, like the systems apart, and it is a hunter. It's pretty impressive.
And like, and it abandons them and like sticks them in the nebula like a Shrike would stick something to a spike. Really, really good theming there.
Yeah. And so the space babies are born, as Jack calls them, space babies. Bob's your uncle. And they do look somewhat like the Farpoint aliens, just
they do.
better
Like,
animated.
I don't earlier. Like I don't want to say. I definitely see what you're getting at.
Yeah, and it's beautiful actually. Like the crew all gets to see it shot, and Seven come up to the bridge in time, and they're just surrounded by these gorgeous like space squid
New
that
life.
are glowing space squid. And yeah, as Beverly says, to seek out new life, right? And she's just like thrilled, and everybody's like, we survived, and now there are space babies, and then they get the hell out of there.
It's classic Trek. It's like this moment like that is why I like Trek. It was like, this is Trek being Trek being Trek. Like this is why I love Star Trek.
So when Jack is there at 10 Forward 5 years ago, he asks about family, and the reason why Jack and him never connect is Picard says, Starfleet is the only family I ever needed. And all the cadets are like, oh, applause, applause, yay, yay, yay. And Jack is obviously hurt by this. And while they're standing on the bridge watching the space babies, you know, another birth of children, Picard looks at Jack and realizes, oh shit, you were the kid in the ball calf who asked me that 5 years ago, and we could have been like talking the whole time, but I said something Admiral Picard like in front of the, you know, in front of the cadets, instead of realizing that my son was trying to say, hey, I'm your kid.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where no one did anything wrong. But it's like no one, like Picard's reaction is perfectly reasonable. Jack's reaction is perfectly reasonable. Everyone's understandable in that situation.
Yeah, but he could, at the same time, I can see him going, well, I could have thought about that for a second too. But there was also no reason for him to think he had a son.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the sort of thing Picard will beat himself up over.
Oh yeah, because that's what he does. He's good at that, you know, as we all are. The nice thing too at the end is Riker calls Deanna. Deanna is super, super happy to hear Riker is healing. It seems like that. Deanna asks if they're in trouble. So I wonder, is Deanna on her way? So maybe they will get a counselor on the Titan, because they sure as fuck need one.
Well, I mean, they're clearly building towards a full cast reunion.
hmm
So
But it sounded like Deanna might be on a ship real soon. I said
yeah.
to Gary when she was like, "Are you in trouble?" He's like, "I don't know." I was like, "I'm gonna get my ass on a ship. I'm gonna straighten this shit out. You
Yeah,
guys are fucking it up."
I expect we'll see Deanna next episode. I don't know where they're going. I have no idea where they're going plot wise. I don't know where they continue from here. There's still questions that need to be answered. But I don't know where they're going to go for the next episode. But I do think Deanna's going to be there. Like,
I have
and that'll really
some
just leave
info.
Jordy as the last cast member to reunite. I guess, and I mean they need to get Worf in with the main crew, but he's in the show.
And Denise Crosby too.
And Denise Crosby,
she's-
whatever they're doing with her.
Mhm. And Brent Spiner, whatever they're doing with him.
Oh, he's Lore for sure. It'll either be Lore or B4. I don't think they'll bring back Data. Although they did put Data's memories into B4's head at the end of Nemesis. Not Nemesis, Insurrection. No, Nemesis. I had it right.
Interesting.
So I haven't watched this movie since it was in theaters. I own a copy of it, but I've never put it in my DVD player. I don't know why I remember this.
Oh yeah. They need major repairs, so Geordi would be a good place next. Well, I have some info on that, but just before we wrap up this episode, Jack has another hallucination.
Yeah.
This is where it sounds like a woman talking, maybe not, red tree branches. And this is the time that he sees a planet or a destroyed planet in red. Not sure. There's a tower, triangle tower.
It's also the first time we actually see the red door, and that's when I was like, "Oh,
no!" The red door was in the previous episode.
Oh, was it? I didn't notice it then.
The red door hasn't. Yeah, I didn't notice it the first time, but the red door has been in both episodes.
Okay.
So, red door, and it says, "Find me again." Is a red woman? I don't know. So the next two episodes I have synopses for. I was a little surprised by them. Episode 5 is called Imposter.
Okay.
Caught by Starfleet and facing court-martial. Paranoia grows as Picard struggles to uncover whether a prodigal crewman from his past has returned as an ally or an enemy hellbent on destroying them all. And maybe this has something to do. Data's memories in B4's head in the Daystream Institute would be a lovely Times Arrow callback. So maybe it is Data, because Data would be a prodigal crewman from the past returning as an ally or an enemy. That I was trying to figure out when I read that the first time. I was like, who would that be?
So I recently bought. I was in BMV, and I found all the Star Trek movies used on Blu-ray. So I bought them all. But I haven't put them in to watch them. I really need to sit down and watch the rest of the TNG movies, because we watched First Contact, but I haven't seen the rest since they aired in theaters. Mostly because I remember not liking them, and I'm in a rush, but I need to do that.
Well, that doesn't work. That's too much text. Oh well, I tried to put it in there. Anyway, so yeah. And facing court-martial. So they're gonna be court-martialed for stealing the Titan. Dun dun dun.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. That was teased. Like Shaw very specifically says, "I will court-martial you," and I suspect he'll have a change of heart, and that he'll come out on their side, because like the second you realize that Jack was Picard's son. Like he has an instant change of heart. He's like, okay, I'm not gonna make this guy give up his son. That's when he comes in and starts acting.
That definitely changed.
He's a dick, but he's not heartless and inhuman. So I think we'll see a scene where Shaw will have a change of heart and come out on Picard's side.
All right. And I'm interested to see where Shaw ends up, given the next episodes.
I mean, we might be done with Shaw for this. I don't think we will, but we might be done with Shaw for this season.
Well, we might not, given the next episode synopsis. Episode 6, The Bounty. Now on the run, Picard and the skeleton crew of the USS Titan must break into Starfleet's most top secret facility to expose a plot that could destroy the Federation.
All right, well, that's the Daystrom.
Picard must turn to the only soul in the galaxy who can help, an old friend. So I'm guessing that's Worf.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
Is the old friend definitely the Daystrom? And if it's the skeleton crew of the USS Titan, is Shaw coming with them? Or are they stealing it? I don't think they would steal it from Shaw at this point.
Yeah, I don't think they would either.
I think Shaw might be coming with them.
My assumption, and maybe was that they would end up stealing the Enterprise. Like,
I guess not.
They're going to get the Enterprise, like the saucer section of the Enterprise B in there somehow, or then sorry, Enterprise D. They're going to, like, part of me was like, are they just going to go like, because the Enterprise D is still got to be on the planet's surface where it crashed, right? So part of me was just like, they're just gonna go steal that and just fly that around to the Enterprise D saucer section with no.
This is possible too. Yeah, Shaw might leave the keys in the ignition and look the other way. Yeah, that's possible too. Especially if they're being court-martialed. I don't know if Shaw wants to, fuck his whole career. That's always a possibility.
He also might transfer command to 7. She's number 2.
Yeah.
Or she's number 1.
Well, she can take over command if she's number 2 because she has that, right? Like she doesn't need command transfer to her necessarily. Yeah. So who knows? But I mean, I'm trying to think of any other people who could be prodigal crewmen from the past, who could be an ally or destruction. I can't think of anyone other than Data. Like it would be potentially.
Yeah, unless it's some B character. O'Brien did cross my mind.
But why would he be like bent on destroying them all?
Because he was tired about how he got treated on DS9.
I would love to see O'Brien. I just don't see him as being a bad, like a potential, like, I don't know.
They won't do it. But could you imagine if, like, the whole season they build up, like, who's behind this changing conspiracy? Who's behind it? And then, like, they have, like, a Dr. Evil moment where, like, the last episode 10, and they, like, someone turns around and has, like, a cat, and it's just O'Brien being like,
you know what? Never happened, but Ro Laren.
Oh, it's in Ro?
Yeah, just because Michelle Forbes.
Honestly, Ro being the Ro being the contentious crew member, I don't think they'll do it, but that would make sense.
It would make sense, and because she played, you never saw her play in Battlestar Galactica, but if you had seen her play Admiral Kane, yeah, she would be lovely. I totally am with it. If you ever saw her play Admiral Kane, her playing a Ro Laren who has left Starfleet or is sketchy would be very good. Her Admiral Kane was fucking terrifying.
Interesting.
Like, terrifying. She was the worst person in the world. The worst person in the world. Like, wow, a bad person.
How canon do we think the books are?
I don't know. With this show, I would guess not very. Because Molly gets a happily ever after. That would be nice. Molly
Wasn't
O'Brien.
there like a book series where she like defects and joins the Maquis?
She was Maquis. That's why she was in trouble. Yeah. Wasn't it? She was Maquis.
No, the Maquis. No, she wasn't Maquis. She was a insurgent. She was a Bajoran insurgent.
I thought she was Maquis.
No, because Maquis are human mostly, right?
Okay.
The Maquis were native people that got displaced by Starfleet.
Yeah, but like other people joined too, and I thought Bajorans were part of it.
They were, but that was all. But all that happened after all that happened on DS9 after Rolaren was a thing.
Okay.
I mean, it's so like that's why I think she joined the Maquis. I'm now just looking at her Memory Alpha profile. Yeah, it looks like I'm right. Not that any of this is canon. Like I don't know, other than Lower Decks. Lower Decks definitely considers the books canon, but other than Lower Decks, I don't know that anyone gives a shit.
I'm not sure, but yeah. I don't know if it would be like, we haven't heard anything about that. I don't know. I mean, unless it's Wesley.
I do think Wesley is going to be on the show.
And I think it's going to be more like a cameo thing, like, hey, Jack, you're my brother. Let's hang out with Mom. You know?
I see it like I think they'll do the same thing they did with season 2, where it'll be like a last episode cameo.
Yeah, and like it won't be many lines because Will Wheaton is not great these days, or he's fine, but I don't think they'll have him do a lot. Yeah. But yeah, I think it'll be more like a let's hang out with Mom and my half brother sort of thing.
I think it being before makes sense, unless it's going to be a
version of Data of some kind.
Unless it's going to be perhaps some B character, not part of the main cast. Like Ro kind of makes sense.
I would love to see Ro. I just don't think so. She's the only person I can think of who's a former, crew member who might be kind of like, I'm not sure whether I can trust her or not.
Oh, maybe it's what's his name? Barkley.
I trust Barkley.
Pardon?
I trust Barkley.
I also doubt it, but that'd be interesting.
There's never a time that they don't trust Reg.
Fair enough. He's a fuck up, but he's like, they trust his motives, if not his abilities.
Yeah, like sometimes he screws up, but they always give him like they almost always like are like, oh, I trust Reg. And so
isn't he like the solution to to Voyager? Like, isn't he?
Yes.
The one who,
Yes, he gets them home. He gets Voyager home.
I don't know how that plays out because I've not seen it, but yeah, that's what I thought.
It has to, I forget, but basically like he's responsible for finding the signal and bringing them home, and he like interacts with them via hologram. Like
Voyager's up on Crave. I need to sit down and just finish watching it.
It's pretty interesting. Like at least the stuff that I saw towards the end with Barkley, I was like, that's really nice that they brought Reg back in. I wouldn't be surprised if he's at Daystrom or something like that.
That would make sense.
Maybe he's the old friend. Not Worf at all.
Possible.
That would be great. That would be really cool. Oh, if the old friend is Soji too, because she's working there, isn't she? Or she was.
Vash is also a possibility, although Vash was never proved.
Vash. Yeah, but Soji was doing had started to do like artificial intelligence work. Because she's an artificial intelligence. So Soji is still out there.
Soji got screwed in, like, I mean, I guess her actress was around, but we didn't see any Soji in season 2.
Yeah.
Because her actress was there, but she's playing a different character.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see. Like, I have no idea. I mean, they might not bring her back. I've heard they won't, but I don't believe.
Shit, maybe the Borg Queen. Who fucking knows?
I would love it if it were the Borg Queen, but I kind of doubt it. I would love it. That would be my first, if I hear Daystrom, and that would be my first belief. I would be like, well, obviously Agnes, but Agnes is a little busy borging out right now. She is a collective to handle. Interesting that they made it specific that, Shaw did say the real Borg are still out there.
Yeah.
And that he defines like Agnes Borg from real Borg.
I would too.
The Borg Queen is getting Picard court-martialed. I mean, if the Borg Queen didn't get Picard court-martialed, how is the Titan getting Picard? How is this getting Picard court-martialed if nothing else did? This is the question.
It's Star Trek. They kind of just play fast and loose with like actual structures. They just go with whatever fucks just the plot.
And where is Catherine Janeway in this situation?
Oh man, that would be great if Janeway was the one court-martialing Picard.
Janeway, yes. Oh my God, Janeway. Bring some Janeway in.
Well, I've not seen much of Voyager and did not care for Voyager. I
We
Prodigy
are
has
big
really won me
Janeway
over.
fans. Yeah.
Prodigy
yeah.
has really won me over on Janeway.
I love
Like,
Janeway. The thing about Voyager is the worst Janeway hair look. Like if it's really bad, that's how you know the ship is in trouble. She's
other
really
po-
wonderful.
other possibility is Riker's
Thomas
transport
Riker.
clone. Thomas Riker.
I don't know where Thomas Riker is.
I don't think we'll ever see Thomas Riker. I could see Thomas
crewman?
Riker making an appearance on Lower Decks
That would be funny.
because they already have one. They already have one transporter clone. I can see them having two.
Voyager was also canonically Picard's boss. Oh, is Janeway his boss? Oh. I bet that is. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That should be interesting. Thomas Riker probably made his way out of prison right now. Thomas Riker's probably working for Section 31.
He did get arrested for best character reveal ever. Is on DS9 when Thomas Riker's like, aha! I have a goatee, not a beard. I'm evil, Riker. Best reveals ever.
Hanging out with Clone Boimler. So yeah, that should be interesting. I'm curious to see who those are. I guess the court-martial, maybe he does get court-martialed, and that's why they're on the run.
That's my guess.
Yeah.
My guess is that something gets revealed that Starfleet's ignoring something important. They get court-martialed, and Picard's like, "No, you have to do something about this." And Starfleet's like, "No, you go to jail." And they're like, "We have to run and stop this." So they steal the Titan and fly off.
I was actually thinking, like, in the previous seasons of Picard, they've showed that there's like quite a number of current admirals and captains who kind of hate Picard.
Mm-hmm.
So
rightfully so. I mean,
yes. So the fact that he might get court-martialed and like, you know, sentenced to something is not out of the realm of possibility.
Also, what would be funny is if that admiral who told him to fuck off in season 1 is the one court-martialing him. That'd be almost as good as Janeway.
Well, that's what I wonder. Like Admiral Sunglasses, yeah, because she was at Daystrom with Agnes. She was responsible for like evil computer time and everything.
Of
She's
course,
working with the Romulans.
Well, yeah. So her second in command, Jellicoe would also be very funny.
Jellicoe would be cool. It'd be cool for Jellicoe to come up. But Admiral Sunglasses there, who was like manipulating Agnes with the Romulans, that would be
maybe my memory season 1. I don't think she was like her second in command was a Romulan operative.
Oh, was she? Okay.
But I don't. Yeah.
I don't know. She was responsible for triggering Agnes. She said the words, I think.
Like I said, season 1 has so much going on that like my memory of it is a bit like I remember all the events, but the order of operation in it is.
No, wait. She was a Romulan, I think.
Was she? I thought
She was a Vulcan. She looked like a Vulcan, but I think she was actually a Romulan.
No, there was that, but that wasn't the admiral who told him to fuck off. That was the admiral who told him to fuck off assistant. The admiral told him to fuck off was like an older white lady.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of the assistant. Right.
Yeah.
Got it. Well, that would be good. All right. Well, we'll have to half Vulcan, half Romulan. Was she half Vulcan, half Romulan?
She might have been.
Oh, she might have been. Right. I just remember the sunglasses and that she was particularly not like cold.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got quite a couple of things coming up here. I'm curious to see what happens. I'm curious to see the court-martial. Let's hope for some Janeway. But if Janeway is in the court-martial, it probably won't. It'll probably work out better for Picard than not. So I assume we're not going to see her.
So, unrelated, with Discovery being delayed. Yes.
Oh, a Navarre precursor. Interesting. Yes. Yeah.
Semi-related. I'm wondering what's happening with the release schedule because now that Discovery is being pushed back,
there might be a gap.
Are we gonna have a big gap now? Because I think we probably will. But we still got 2 seasons that are because I think Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds are still almost ready to go, I think.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. It really depends on how ready it is and what their plans
Yeah.
are. But I don't know if Discovery was coming next or
'Cause I
not.
thought, yeah,
There was nothing announced.
yeah,
Nothing announced.
yeah. All we got is that all we got for all we got so far is that Discovery's been delayed. We don't know anything else.
Yeah, nothing's been announced. So, I mean, I imagine maybe that's why nothing had been announced.
Yeah.
Probably that they were planning to make a decision on Discovery and to go from there.
Yeah,
So,
Lower Decks has been announced for this year, but we're only 3 months in.
when is it coming out?
Just this year. That's all we
Oh,
know.
just this year. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, like they were probably just waiting to find out what was happening with Discovery and whether they needed to reshoot things for the finale. And if they did, then they probably just, yeah, decided to go ahead and figure it out from there.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll probably hear some releases from now on about Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks in the next little while.
Yeah.
They'll probably
Yeah,
just
well,
need to space it out.
I suspect now that
Strange New Worlds is coming.
Yeah, Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks are definitely coming this year. We just don't know when this year. I expect now that we're getting to Discovery's end and Picard's end, I expect we'll hear some movement on Section 31 and because Section 31 was announced. It's just we haven't had any updates on it in forever. Other than like it's coming.
I wouldn't expect to see anything about it, until it starts shooting.
Well, that's fair. And Michelle Yeoh is now also doing an adaptation of American Born Chinese, although that's about to start airing, which means it's done shooting. It's busy.
Well, I mean, it depends how long it goes on for.
Yeah.
And how long she's attached it for.
American Born Chinese is not a particularly long book, so I suspect it'll be a one and done.
Depends what the network wants and how long people sign on for it. But yeah, like I mean, with the other series, I wouldn't expect to see anything like out of them until they start like saying they're going to shoot.
Well, it's I suspect. Well, but part of the reason why, because they're all reusing all the same sets. That's part of why they don't want more than one show. That's probably why they're limiting how many shows are on. We'll see. I suspect they might start once Picard, and I suspect once Discovery's done its reshoots, they'll start filming whatever series comes next, which I expect will be Section 31, but also who fucking knows.
I think that really depends on Michelle Yeoh and what they're going to do with that.
She's also just an extremely busy woman, and I mean, she clearly enjoys playing the Empress or the Emperor. So we will see.
We'll have to see what happens with Starfleet Academy now that they're ending Discovery as well, because obviously I don't think they'll be in the 32nd century anymore with that if Discovery isn't continuing.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't even know. Starfleet Academy has not actually been formally announced. It's just a rumor at this point. It's a rumor. I believe, but
I just don't. I was gonna say I don't think like even if it goes ahead, I don't think it's gonna go ahead
with Tilly and all that.
With Tilly in that time period if there's no more Discovery in that time period.
I want Star Trek to stay in that time period, man. I
would like that, but I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah, I'm kind of inclined to agree. Like I like this Star Trek where we have different shows in different time periods. I think it's interesting. I would like to see them continue a show in that time period, but I'm kind of inclined to agree that I don't think it's particularly likely.
I would like them just to do some more shows that are new that don't retread old stuff.
I want to see a show about that jungle ship. If you remember, like that one ship from like the 30 whatever century, because where it's like a donut with a it's like a donut with a like a jungle in it with a mountain in the center.
Oh, that sounded, yeah, it was really interesting. They had some really interesting ships for sure. Anyway, I have to wrap it up because I have to go to the bathroom. And
fair enough.
Yeah. In any case, yes, I will. But it sounds like there's an interesting couple of shows coming up. I'm interested to see where they go. I'm definitely interested to see a heist episode in the future. After a court martial episode, hopefully better than the trial in Lower Decks, which was not bad, just not great. In any case, we'll be back in 2 weeks to watch the next two. And you've got a stream next week?
Yes, I do.
On your channel? Awesome.
Yep.
Do you have a topic yet, or
we do not?
Whatever comes up. Okay.
That'll be whatever comes up, I think.
All right, cool. So tune into Green's channel on Bright Green City for next week on Sunday if you're interested in some Indigenous anarchist discussion. Definitely always interesting. In any case, we'll be back in 2 weeks to talk about more Star Trek Picard.
All right. Take care.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for discussing it with me. And yeah, I'll see you next time.
All right. Cheers. Have a good one.
You too.